And we are live on the interwebs, Cardboard Conjecture.
All right, cool.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Finished. I got
I got a piece of toffee in my mouth.
No, I'm crunching my fisherman's friend just to get her all done. All right. Woo. And look at this. Look, we're twins.
Oh, right. We got to have the
sporting the swag.
Sporting the swag.
We'll
leave us a comment.
Yeah.
If you want some swag, we'll give you a link.
We're going to do some t-shirt orders. So yeah. Just get a hold of us.
Yeah, we got to get up to a minimum something.
Minimum of 5. So, you ready to do this thing?
I think I'm ready to do this thing.
Cool. Before we start, I liked how you mentioned that we're doing the episode 99 and 100. And actually, I'm just as proud of 99 because, like you said, that's Wayne Gretzky.
That's the great one.
That's the great one.
So this will be, the 99 will be the best episode.
Yeah.
And it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
We've peaked.
Yeah. Yeah. The engine went cool. So yeah, well let's get ourselves ready for the great one.
Let's get this show on the road.
A little sip of water. All right. Welcome to Cardboard Conjecture. I'm your host, Norm.
And I'm the great one, Ryan.
And on this episode, we're going to talk some banter about some board games. We're going to hit you up with some news. And Ryan, what's the topic for this episode, please?
We've got kind of two simultaneous topics going on. Norm's the solo gamer, so he's going to be talking about his top 10 solo games. And I mainly play a lot of two-player games, so I'm going to be talking about my top 10 two-player games. And the old 1-2 punch.
There we go. I was like, there's no outro. There we go. I just had to be patient. Just have to wait for it. Okay, coming back in. And we're back. This is Cardboard Conjecture. Let's get into some banter. You know what? I'm going to start because that will lead into some discussion for you to pile up on. So I got myself ready. Ryan and I are going to do. We're going to try and do some episodes for the Jabs, just another board game show, and some Marvel Champions, and we're going to do the Red Skull campaign, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. So I already said I'm going to do Hawkeye. I'm going to play Hawkeye because he's underrated. Everybody's like the Aquaman, right? So everyone's just
Hawkeye is not Aquaman.
So I got to give him some respect. So yeah, I started playing. Ran through the base game stuff, scenarios, and just started to learn how this character operates, and he's very cool. It's all about what I'm totally appreciating out of Marvel Champions, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that one. Hint, hint. Is how the character deck mechanisms are so thematically connected to the character. They've went above and beyond their homework to make a point to tie things in and not just mail it in. And as far as its design, it's like, bloop, here's another one, bloop, here's another deck, right? Pretty much the same thing, just different color, right? So I totally appreciate the depth that I'm starting to see in Hawkeye. But I'm still a Spider-Man guy.
Yeah, Hawkeye is really cool. I've only played him once, but I really thought they really nailed it with his arrows system and having to charge them up, having to pretty much pull them out of the quiver and load them up. And you have to load them up and then fire them. It's really cool mechanism.
Yeah, that was and also the having those couple cards to pay for arrow events, right? That whole synergy was just very clever. I appreciate it. Now I want to see how it works with another character. And what did you say that you're going to bring to the table with this campaign?
I'm bringing my tried and true. I'm gonna bring the OP Doctor Strange is coming to the table, so we got the team up of Doctor Strange and Hawkeye going to run through the Red Skull campaign. And that'll maybe hopefully lead us up to when the Mad Titan Shadow finally reaches Canada and North America here, because it's on mad delay to North America. It's readily available in Europe right now.
I'm not saying that we're like really far behind in, you know, getting media and culture here. I mean, we just got Nirvana like last week. So, you know, we're just a little bit behind.
Yeah, I don't know, this whole global shipping thing, it's just clusters everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting bad.
It might be a news thing, I don't know, but yeah, the idea of the shipping container costs going through the roof and people scrambling, not scrambling, but people pivoting on Kickstarter or pre-Kickstarter and sourcing local.
Yeah.
Which I'm hearing more and more through the podcasts I'm listening to of these choices being made. And honestly, if that's the case, and there's also some that are being very environmentally conscious on their, you know, their cardboard selection. And if that's the case, I don't mind paying a little bit more to support, support local or you know, continental.
Yeah. No, that's 100% it. And that's why we're going to probably see some of these increases, because we are going to be, a lot of these companies are trying to produce now within the US. And
cool.
It is what it is. It's the nature of the beast.
And I know the question everybody's asking is, how did we go from Hawkeye Marvel Champions to here? And to answer your question, we're two teachers and we go on you're a math teacher, tangents. We hit tangents all the time.
Yeah.
Right? But we brought it back in.
Good old line connected to a circle.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait to dig into some more of this regular. We're going to try and do some alternate Mondays when we don't record. We're going to do some Marvel Champions. So that's what I got to bring to the table right now.
Awesome.
Hawkeye. And you and Rob started something new.
Yeah, I'm going to be starting up, well, Rob and I Rob from the Meeple Dungeon and I have been doing Wednesday night streams on our YouTube channel. And for a while there, we were doing Ashes Reborn, which is a fantastic game. I reviewed it in our last episode. And we're going to take a small break from Ashes because there's some other card games that have been coming out that we want to explore. And one of them is the Flesh and Blood card game. And now Flesh and Blood is a new trading card game. It's a collectible game. So there's the chasing after the foils and the rares and the super rares and the majestics and the legendaries. They've got rarities up the wazoo in this game. But we picked up a couple of the Blitz decks, which are just kind of like their version of a pre-constructed deck. And it's a really, really neat back and forth game. Everything's going to get compared to Magic the Gathering, because that's like the big one. Well, everybody wants to be like Magic.
The comparable.
And except for in this one, you're not really summoning spirits to go battle on your behalf or something like that. You are actually two characters dueling it out. And when you take your action points, they are just like, actually like, you know, I'm fighting with you with my sword or my katana or my axe. And then I might have like some alternate moves that I can attack you with, type of thing. And really, really quite neat. It's got the multi-use card system where every card has its ability, but it's also could be used as resources to pay for your other cards. I think that's kind of a neat aspect to it as well. And then your character, you also have cards set aside. That's your equipment. So you've equipped your character at the beginning of a game, and your equipment has one-time game effects on them. So you kind of have to time when you're actually going to trigger those abilities to the best that they can offer you. Very neat game. We were playing what's called the Blitz format, so a small deck of 40 cards. I think it was 40. And only 20 health on your character, and it's just back and forth. There's the bigger brother version called the constructed format, which is 40 health and a 60 card deck.
Whoa!
And so it's a much bigger deck, much larger, I heard it's a very much more strategic version, because you have to really pay attention to in this game when it's not your active turn and you're the defending player. You can defend the attacks with the cards from your hand, but if I do that, then I'm left with less cards to play on my offensive turn.
Yeah.
So it's a very big push and pull type of thing. When do I want to defend? When do I not defend? When do I eat the damage? And so kind of like when I decide I'm going to eat damage, means I probably got a plan to hopefully deal more damage back to my opponent on.
Yeah, there has to be a good reason why you're going to soak that up, because you're timing it to do a even bigger stuff.
And it's a really interesting game. It's got a very interesting story behind it, because they're trying to fill the void that Magic the Gathering is starting to leave behind in these post-pandemic times.
The production company,
Yeah, Magic the Gathering is starting to pour lots of resources into their online arena, Magic the Gathering Arena app and computer version, and less about their physical play. And that's actually why Legends Stories Studios, I believe that's their name of the company, decided to call it Flesh and Blood, because they want the game to be played in flesh and blood. And they just had a big, massive event in Las Vegas. They had they had like 1,500 players attend this massive event with a $10,000 prize pool that was available and side events. And from what I've heard, it was a very successful event. It's gaining lots of traction. Their 5th set is about to release, I think, at the end of this week from this recording. I think it's September 24th. It's huge. It's huge right now. I think it's got a lot of good things going for it. I think it could compete with the big three. The big three being Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon. Mm-hmm. I think it has the legs, and it's starting to, at least in Saskatoon here, from what I've heard.
Oh, really?
It's starting to grab some of those Magic the Gathering players away from Magic. Cool. And from what I heard, it's a more strategic version of a card game. There's lots of interesting decision points to be made during the thing. It's very quite thinky. Like Rob and I on our last one
was watching.
So the Blitz format's only supposed to take like 20-25 minutes, and we were just like spending like an hour. And that's because
you guys were just learning it too, right?
We were learning it. We didn't know any of the cards in the deck, but Flesh and Blood. I'm very curious to explore. I'm not going to go heavy into this one like I've used to do in collectible card games. I want to play with these Blitz decks.
Sure, you're not.
I want to play with these Blitz decks. No, I got way too much other stuff to go on.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. We're going to play with these Blitz decks. There's some new Blitz decks coming out this week, so I think we're going to pick those ones up. I like the pre-constructed stuff. I don't have I got kids. I don't have time for the deck building anymore.
Well, and I mean, for people like me who have no depth of knowledge in that, I like that whole crack it and play it, right? Like Keyforge did. Crack the deck and go. Yeah. Right. So I was laughing earlier when you were setting up the whole game when you said we're two knights, squaring off, and I went, oh, like Monty Python.
We are the knights who say knee.
Yeah. None shall pass.
Bring me a shrubbery.
So I hope you guys didn't, and end up decimating each other by the end of it. I like the player mats that I saw that it had visually, from my point of view, I've never seen the game, never played it, but just looking at the player mat, I got a sense of what to expect of the game and sort of zones. I was able to identify zones that made sense to me.
Yeah, and if you don't have a playmat, like the play area is very simplistic. You got your 4 pieces of equipment, you got your deck and weapon areas, and then you just got your deck. You got your character and weapons, and then you got your deck areas, and then everything else is played to what's called the combat chain. And that's where all the action takes place. And after you play a card, then they all go to the discard pile, or I think the graveyard is where they call it this time. Yeah. But no.
Cool.
Flesh and Blood. So Rob and I will be playing that on Wednesdays for the next little bit. And then we're going to return back to Ashes, because that game. If you didn't listen to my review in the last episode, go back and listen to me gush all over it, because it's a fantastic game.
Cool.
I want to play Ashes right now.
Hey, well, you know what? I'm gonna try and find a copy because you guys kind of got me really interested in it because it's got dice.
What I should do is I should hand over a couple decks to you at school, and then you take them home and we'll put them on the webcam. And
oh, that's right. I don't necessarily need. I just need a deck to play.
I literally own everything for Ashes at the moment. So.
See, so I'm gonna come back to your speaking of flesh and blood not needing to own everything
because I'm already collecting another game, and I'm collecting Marvel Champions, and I'm collecting Arkham Horror.
Good thing we're not recording this or documenting anything you're saying right now. So
my wife doesn't listen to this podcast.
That makes two of us. She thinks I'm just down here playing board games, so
Oh no, she knows I'm recording the podcast.
All right, so that's a good place to stop, and let's come back into some news because this is going to be some fun stuff to talk about. So, because I have a break, I put a break in there so we can come back in.
Nice.
And we're back in with some news. You ready for it? The news. Ryan, lead us into what's going on with some Fantasy Flight game news.
This past weekend was Gen Con 2021. Seemed like it was a pretty decent turnout from what I gathered on the social medias that I was looking at.
I've been hyperventilating at each picture I look at.
I don't think it was as bad as some of the pictures were making it out to be.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but there's that. I mean, everybody who sees that has that little part in the back of their brain going, oh, I don't know if I can do that yet.
Yeah, just watching the people touching the escalator railing.
Purell.
Okay. Anyways, back on track. Fantasy Flight does their usual Gen Con in-flight report, giving us a heads up onto what's happening Fantasy Flight games. And I love doing this every year because they got lots of news this year. Big one, and it actually came out before Gen Con, was the news about Keyforge, which is a game that we really enjoy. We've always really enjoyed Keyforge. And they do have a new set that's kind of
with an asterisk
kind of ready, called the Winds of Exchange, bringing in some new houses, some new cards, and new player powers. But they also released a statement that Keyforge is going on a hiatus for a little bit. And one of the big things that they came about was that we do have this new set, but we can't print new things because our Keyforge algorithm is broken, which leads to lots of speculations because that is the definition of Keyforge, and that was their driving marketing thing.
Yeah.
Was that every single deck in the world was going to be unique. And for some reason, and I listened to the Team Covenant podcast. And
I did too, yeah.
And they had a really interesting take that they started, think about that they probably started introducing too many variables into the algorithm.
They crashed the code.
And their code wasn't able to keep up or something like that. That might be, and that's just speculation, conjecture for our podcast. But I can see that as a math and computer programming guy. Definitely can see that they were starting to introduce maybe too much too soon. But so Keyforge is on hiatus, but they do plan to come back at some point in time with this new set called Winds of Exchange. And also they are in talks with a company, and I'm losing it right now.
That's right.
But they're going to be coming out with an app for Keyforge as well. So I think when Keyforge does come back, it's going to be big. They're going to go all over the place. Small things in Arkham Horror Land. They got a new scenario pack, just a one-off scenario coming out. But they also made the big announcement that they're going to start re-releasing the old expansions campaigns, but in this new format that I was talking about, that they have all of the campaign cards in one box and all of the investigator cards in one box. And so they're going to start that with the Dunwich Legacy campaign, which was a really hard one to find for a lot of people for right now. So they are saying that they're going to bring that all back.
The in-flight one that I'll set it up and you can say what it is, but we got a little teaser when we interviewed Corey Kineska, and that's at the very end of the in-flight report. Yeah,
I know.
Have you got there yet?
Not yet. No, there's lots of stuff in this in-flight report. Don't you have it open?
No. I'm just sitting back. I'm
Oh, yeah.
enjoying the first-hand account here.
Lord of the Rings, the card game, is getting relaunched.
Okay, I got.
And they have a new revised core set. So what they're doing with Arkham Horror, they're re-releasing the core box, but now everything all in one, and they're adding some things to make it a campaign right out of the core box. Then they got some new scenario packs for that one coming out.
Oh,
Here's
there
the
we
big
go.
one. Here's the big one. The new Marvel Champions stuff. So they officially announced the last hero of the Mad Titan Shadow cycle, which is going to be Vision. So they got the Vision hero pack coming out. But then they started teasing us with the Sinister Motives campaign box, which is Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And they've got Ghost Spider and Miles Morales Spider-Man as the heroes inside that box, and I am very excited.
Yeah, and I'm just quickly looking at it here. There's some great villains.
Yep, they got the Sinister Six coming in there.
Yeah.
Looks like they got Venom in there as well. So lots of things coming in with Marvel Champions. Then they have a whole bunch of like merch stuff, and they're teaming up with CMON to release some Twilight Imperium comic books and graphic novels. That seems pretty good. But then the very big teaser at the very end was the Piece de la Resistance. And we got a little bit of insight onto it when we interviewed Corey Konitzka, is that a Star Wars Outer Rim expansion is finally coming. They just teased it. They didn't give any details about it. It's called Unfinished. It's called Unfinished Business, and it's the expansion that everybody's been wanting. We need that. We need this. We need more content for that game. It's a fantastic game. Just needs more content. And so that was the in-flight report for Fantasy Flight Games. Lots of great stuff. I always get jazzed about it.
That sounded like you just did the weather, and that was the in-flight report for CKW4. Cool. What's up?
We should be sponsored by Fantasy Flight Games for the amount of stuff that we talk about them.
I'd rather get shares for the amount of money I've spent. Ravensburger. This one's kind of interesting.
This one is very, very interesting because Ravensburger is halting all orders in North America currently. And for the reason why they are stating this is that they want to catch up on this backlog of orders that are coming their way. They've been very aggressive in releasing new content. And they got a lot of those games coming out. Like they got Goonies and Rocketeer and Gargoyles. All these other really awesome games that are coming out. Except for they just can't get them here because of this of the shipping issues that are happening globally. And so what they're doing is they're actually putting a hiatus on the orders. People can't order. They gave until I think September 17th, so that's just passed. And now they're not accepting orders, which is actually really bold of them going into Christmas season. But they just, I think there's such a backlog of their orders that they need to do things properly, I guess.
Well, and they're a big enough company that they can absorb a tactical decision like that.
Yeah. So things will be starting up for them probably very early 2022, maybe even very late 2021 here. So it is unfortunate. Have you seen the pictures of the Gargoyles game?
Now, are they using the artwork directly from the Disney IP?
Yes.
Cool. They're not going on their own little kind of
no. It's like Gargoyles, the cartoon that I loved, and a lot of people have loved. And, and they got their own version of 3D terrain. Take that, Descent: Legends of the Dark.
Ooh,
they got like 3D
really?
like towers that the gargoyles go on and stuff like that, and so.
And is this the Prospero Hall team that put this together?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. They don't do that crazy mini stuff. Or they don't do, but.
And it's not like a Heavy's Minis game. It's just like what probably these other productions are for them, and it's like I'm curious. I thought it was very interesting.
All right. Last one. Well, speaking of nostalgia cartoons.
Yeah, we have to mention this because it is kind of time sensitive too. Because by the time some people listen to this, there might not be that many days left in the campaign.
No.
But come on, or Simon, I'll still call them Simon. It's it's neither here nor there. Has their Masters of the Universe board game up on Kickstarter. It's loaded with plastic and minis and everything awesome. And
what was your thing you said about Simon? If it doesn't come with 6 boxes minimum,
what's a game that doesn't come with 6 boxes minimum? Come on, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's looking really good. Now we just recorded an episode about this with or I did with Dice and Dragons and the Meeple Dungeon. We did another one of our Kickstarter excess or values, and this is we picked this one because we have it. Oh my gosh. Now I think I'm coming reformed a little bit. Because this one doesn't get me juiced up. No, this one doesn't get me juiced up.
Okay.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
And there's lots of miniatures and lots of things and a big massive plastic castle gray skull quote unquote miniature that goes on the board.
There's a pile of minis too, not just a bit. There's a pretty good distribution.
Yeah, and they've just added on 3D terrain today as add-ons.
Nice.
I don't know, but this one's it's not getting me. And that might also be because too it's not really meant as a cooperative type of game. It is a one versus many skirmish. Or a 1v1 skirmish type of game.
Yeah.
And that's not really a game that Jen and I play. Or that's not really a game I play in general. Like, I just don't go out there. Like, if I'm doing 1v1 things, like I'm playing Ashes Reborn or I'm playing these dueling card games with my friends, I'm not playing these miniature heavy war games. Essentially, that's what this one's going to turn out to be. So it's not getting me jazzed up. This might be a Simon. This is a Simon Kickstarter that I'm passing on.
Okay.
But we did
and that's okay. That's okay.
But listen to that episode when it comes out, because we're doing a Price is Right challenge to see how much an all-in. We tried to guess how much an all-in
pledge was.
Pledge is going to end up costing somebody. So I'll let you have to go on Dice and Dragons YouTube. I'm not going to say it on this air. You have to go watch our other show.
Okay. Over 500.
Yes.
Oh!
That's my prediction.
Ooh. Okay, so that's where it's going. That's where you think it's going.
That's where it's going. Well, right now, what is it right now? I'm going to do some math on the air. 220, 295, 345, 395. It's already over $400 for the stuff that they've released.
American?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's like $2,000 Canadian, eh?
So I think my prediction is pretty. I think actually all three of our predictions were pretty all right.
Wow.
So
that's all I could say is wow. Well, but
there's going to be people out there that they're going to get froth over this thing, because this is He-Man. This was a big part of a lot of people's childhoods.
Oh yeah. This will have the kind of a similar nostalgic connection that Fireball Island had.
Yeah.
Kind of pulling on those.
And they're really trying to go with the FOMO, because that's what Simon does.
Yeah.
They tug at the FOMO heartstrings. Everything in this campaign seems to be a Kickstarter exclusive. Like, I don't think very much of this is actually going to retail, or if any of it.
Now, but does it usually go to retail?
No, not unless if your retailer is a Simon retailer, in which they can get in on the Kickstarter. Okay. Amazing Stories and Dragon's Den Games here in Saskatoon are Simon retailers. They can get in on these campaigns and order this stuff, but they can't just get it through the regular distribution channels.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want the gigantic plastic gray skull miniature, that's a Kickstarter exclusive.
Yeah. Or find to see if your friendly local game store is bringing it in. So.
Yep. Talk to Darren at Dragon's Den. I'm pretty sure he's going to put it together group
Yeah.
pledge. Talk to Jeff at Amazing Stories. I'm pretty sure he'll put in some group pledges if people are interested in them.
Mm-hmm.
That saves you on the shipping. That's going to save you on the shipping.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And that way it doesn't get shipped to your house and you don't have to explain things. What's this fridge box?
And if
There's a fridge box on our front step.
And if you accumulated enough store credit, you can probably put that store credit towards that.
Yeah.
Shh. I'm not speaking from experience.
Be very, very quiet. We're hunting cardboard.
What?
All right, so let's phase out. That's a perfect spot to phase out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh,
Ready to come back in for some top 10 lists?
sure. Is there anybody in the chat that's excited for some top 10 lists? I don't actually. I can't even see the stats if people are actually watching.
I looked at the chat. I said hi, and there's no response right
Crickets.
now. Yeah, tumbleweeds. That's okay.
That's okay.
All right, coming back in, and we're back. This is Cardboard Conjecture, and we're going to go into our topic, which is, from my point of view, the top 10 solo games, and from Ryan's point of view, the top 10 two-player games. And I think this was a pandemic-forced topic.
Yeah.
So, Brian, not that there's much that we need to talk about, but what kind of prompted your list? Like, was there any dimension, any criteria, any method, any madness?
So this is just going to be like more of a personal experience type of list. These are the two-player only. Like, I'm not going to be talking about games that, play 2 to 4 players and they have a good two-player mode.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be talking about the ones that are designed only to be played as two-player games. So there's some of those, like, there's the Cosmos two-player game lineup. There's the Lookout Games two-player lineup. And there's some other ones that may or may not have been mentioned on the show 50 times.
Have we talked about Target yet?
Type of games. So that's where I'm kind of going. But some of these are Jen's favorite games as well because we've played them so much. So I'll be giving my list of mine and Jen's. Jen gave a little bit of input to this list too. Let
me guess. Her input was, "What are you putting that on the list for?"
When was the last time we played that?
We never played that. Oh, come on.
So, so two-player games.
Cool.
Only.
My approach was, there's so much, like, as I put my list together, it's like, well, if I played that again, I would probably make it on the list. But it came down to what's the frequency? What are the ones that are actually getting on the table to be played? And there's probably 2 criteria there. One is ease of play. Like, I don't want to spend more time setting it up than it takes to play.
Right.
And depth of play. Right. So those are my 2 criteria. Now, as I mentioned before we went on air with this, that not that I'm cheated, but I'm going to quickly spout out a list of games that I've not yet played, that if I did, I know they'd make it on the list somewhere.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. So that's.
Are you giving to that us first, or are you going to give that to us at the end?
No, I'll give that right away, just so that you know that not to expect these games, and the reason it's like, you're mad. Well, of course I'm mad because I haven't played this game, so that's why it's not on the list, right? And that and the whole dimension of that discussion is, that's a whole episode right there, and a team.
Right.
Do you want me to start?
Sure.
I'll spit out that. So here's the ones that didn't make the list because I haven't played them, but they would make the list. I'm pretty darn sure, from all the research I've done and all the talk that I've heard. So the first one, Seventh Continent. I've heard you talk so much about it. It's pretty much everything.
Right.
That role playing that I love, like doing D&D and stuff. Right. It's just it's kind of nice. Sounds like it'd be a perfect blend. The next one I have, I'm so shy. I have this game on my shelf, but I haven't. Arkham Horror, the living card game. I haven't. There's cellophane still on the decks, man. Forgive me. The other one is Gaia Project. No forgiveness. The other one is Gaia Project. I know I love space, and I love that
You're
building.
listing off some of my favorite games of all time.
Well, see, that's what I mean, right? The next one is Feast for Odin,
Yep.
right? So, I mean, I know I love Uwe. Another one again, you're gonna nod. Anachrony.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that is a fantastic solo, and it's a great game.
Yep. And that's a solo mode that I have not played. I have not played the solo mode for Anachrony.
Okay. And then the last one is Too Many Bones. That's that chip theory game.
Okay, I don't know too much about that.
It's basically dungeon diving, and chip theory's way of putting all the chips are as the basis of the development of this game. So those are they'd make the list if I played them.
Yeah. I got a small list of things that I'll call my honorable mentions that they didn't quite make the list.
Mm-hmm.
And two of them, people are going to scream when they hear this.
What?
Yep. The Good Doctor, Mr. Reiner. He didn't make my list. Battle Line / Shot and Totten didn't make the list. And Lost Cities didn't make my list.
For shame.
I know, right? A game that I'm sure if we played, and I don't own this one, but I've heard great things about Raptor. Kind of like this kind of like dueling game.
Mm-hmm.
Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small, did not make my list. And Norm, I'm sorry, but Shobu did not make the list.
Oh.
Now you're wondering what did make the list.
Well, I'm hoping that there's a Jay and Sen game that made that list.
We'll see.
It was just like a pinter pause and breathe. Okay, so my number 10. I'm gonna first say the one that got kicked out was Black Orchestra. That is that Valkyrie make a plan to assassinate Hitler. That just got bumped off the list by Viticulture.
Oh.
Or the Tuscany Essentials edition. Now this one, I don't want to say that this is the first time that I think it's Morten Anderson came up with the Onitama deck, but this was my first experience with it, and yeah, like I mean, I love the worker placement in Viticulture. I love the cards. I love how the whole thing works, and that Onitama system is great. It doesn't change the decision making in the game as much, and keeps the challenge there. And it's not one of those, beat your best score, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's okay, but in this case, no. You're pushing hard against the Onitama, which does a great job.
That's one of those systems where you flip over the card. That card, the guy kind of just takes that spot away from you, right?
Yeah. Like a good worker placement. It's like, denied, and flip a card, and there's their points, and they're pushing ahead of you. Now abstracts a lot of the AI decision making, but good enough. I don't want to know the AI's backstory. I want my turn next, right? So it does a great job at that. So that's my number 10.
Sweet. Okay, my number 10 is a 2-player game that Jen doesn't play. And I don't think Jen's ever played it, but I've had such great experiences with it as a 2-player game, and that is Star Wars Rebellion.
Oh, yeah!
Number 10, and it's so low because of that. It is an epic. It is an epic scale. It's taking you a few hours to play through the cat and mouse chasing of the rebels and the Empire. And the Empire starts with a big, massive fleet on the board, and the rebels are hiding and not necessarily wanting to get into that conflict, but trying to build up their rebellion beforehand.
Around.
Claiming those mission points ever so sneakily, sabotaging things. And the stories that it's able to tell. I've had epic games with you. I've had epic games with Ian. it's a fantastic sit down and let's live out Star Wars in this alternate universe timeline, stories that can develop. Yeah, so set aside a few hours. Star Wars Rebellion is my number 10.
Nice.
Even though it does say 2 to 4, you're never going to play that game more than 2 players.
That's a two-player
It's a 2-player game.
Much the same way that this one says, oh, it's a 1 to 4 player game. No, this game is a solo game that it's the opposite. You know how games are like, oh, it plays 4, but you can, if you want, play solo. This is the other way. This is a solo game, and you can play more players if you want, but don't. And that is Nemo's War. Victory Point Games, and I'm Ian O'Toole. I mean, we love Ian, so yeah, Nemo's War. You're basically you're on the Nautilus, and you're doing campaigns, and you're doing story narratives, and there's 4 different modes that you can set your game to in regards to adventure, exploration, military, and the good sign of a good solo game is that your win percentage is below 20, and mine is below 10. No, there's on the rare occasion you manage to squeak out a reputable win. It's a feels good. Some people there's dice involved, and some people are like, oh, I hate that randomness, but there's the mitigation in this is that you bet points. There's 3 tracks. There's your crew, there's Nemo, and then there's the Nautilus. And depending on the event or the conflict, you can bet points to add to your dice roll. And if you're successful, you regain, and if you're not successful, you lose that. And then that's one of those criteria that push you to not winning the game. But I have so much fun every time I play this game. Just loads of fun. And if anybody's ever heard our Memories episode, this one's got a depth of emotional associative memory. So yeah, that's Nemo's War.
I thought it was going to be higher on your list, honestly.
Well, yeah, there's just so many good ones that have come out, though, right?
Perfect.
I mean, this one came.
Love it.
This one came out in, what's the date on this one? 2017. So yeah, but still, it made the top 10. Number 9.
Absolutely. Okay, my number 9 is a capstone game. Capstone's actually got a couple 2-player only games, but this one's just slightly better than the other one. And I'm going to talk about Watergate.
Yeah,
fantastic 2-player game. You introduced me to this one, and then I introduced Jen to it. And this one comes out every now and then, and it's a very nice tug of war, back and forth. And that seems to be a common term or a common feeling in lots of these 2-player only games, is the tug of war between the 2 players, the push and pull, the try to capitalize on your opponent's mistakes almost and everything. And so, in Watergate, it is living out the Watergate scandal of one player playing the media type of people, and the other players playing the Nixon administration, and the media, you're trying to connect the dots and the conspiracies to Nixon by playing these event cards and trying to find these key players in the Watergate scandal. Yeah. And Nixon's just trying to, off the people so that you can't find them or something like that. Protect his imagery.
Yeah.
By playing his event cards, and it's so cool. It's very thematic. And there's a term that I don't like to use very often, but the immersion and how you're feeling in the text and the flavor of the cards you're playing, it's very good. Yeah. And it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a very quick playing type of game. Like, what is it, 30 minutes ish? Yeah. Which is a perfect game for us when we are going to bed quite late, or the kids get to bed late, and you still want to pick up a game. And the rules overhead for it, not very complicated.
It's smooth. It's straightforward. Yeah. But it's so deep. So deep.
Oh, there's so many different interesting decisions. Yeah, the decision points, and then if I'm playing this card to push that peg closer to my side or to your opponent's side, or am I playing it for the action? If I play it for the action, then it's gone for the game, possibly, or something. So Watergate is a fantastic, and my number 9 2-player game.
Cool. I'm looking at our clock. I'm going to speed this up because we're going to run late. But my number 8, and you're probably going to have that same feeling of it's been falling down the list, but there's so many good games, is Robinson Crusoe.
Okay.
And yeah. And this one's dropped down the list because of the demand of the rule set that you have to get into your working memory in order to get that game, going. I love the variability in this game. There's all these different little scenario cards that you run this exploration and card drafting tableau engine through. And this one is always a great experience and always challenges me. So, this is another one is like, I maybe have a 15% win rate with this game, and that says a good thing for me. So yeah, number 8, Robinson Crusoe.
Okay, I'll keep it also nice and short here. My number 8 is the only trick-taking game on my list. It's a two-player only trick-taking game, and that is Fox in the Forest.
Bravo.
Great game. If you know what trick-taking games are, this one does it well. There's only 3 suits, and the odd number cards have some sort of special effect when they get played, switching the trump suit and stuff like that. And the really good thing about this one too is that you don't want to take all of the tricks. You just want to take some of them, because if you hit this sweet spot, you score more points for the round. And so there are sweet spots by not taking very many or just taking just enough. If you take too many or you don't take any at all, that's bad.
It's like bell curve scoring.
Yeah, so it's really
you take
interesting.
Too much, you get 0. You don't take enough, you get 0.
And it works very well. So Fox in the Forest is our number, what was this, 8.
Cool. My number 7 is an engine building, and there's not the only one on there. This is Wingspan. This is Stonemaier Games. It's your birds. You're basically putting together a bird sanctuary, and it is, like I said, probably one of the most dynamic engine builders of late. Now, a lot of people get, oh, it's simplistic. Well, I mean, you want to have an appeal to a good range of people, and once again, the Otama deck from Stonemaier comes through brilliantly with this game. So this plays great solo, and this plays great even up to 4 players. So Wingspan.
Great choice. My number 7 is Imhotep the Duel. So this is another one of those. This is one of those games where they had a Big Brother game, and then they kind of just made like the little brother or the cousin version, where it's like take the game that could be played as 2-player already, but we're gonna kind of keep the core concepts of the game, but we're gonna also change it enough that it's the own unique 2-player experience. And it feels very chess-like, is when I've talked about it in the past, where you really have to position your pawns in order to take the proper tiles off the boats in order to maximize your scoring. And the variable scoring, because there's these dual flip boards, and not every board, you're not going to have the same combination of point scoring opportunities every single game. It's really, really good. I highly recommend checking out Imhotep the Duel.
Cool. You know what? And I love that, because that's definitive on how many players. It's like a Cosmic Encounter, the Duel. So my number 6 is, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again, is my favorite deck builder by far, is Aeon's End. And I'm currently playing one of the campaign games. I'm currently playing one of the legacy games. This is so much fun. And the uniqueness I like about this game is that, unlike any other deck builder that you shuffle your deck and then you take your 5 cards, This one, your deck stays in its chronological order that you put it. So once it depletes, you pick it up, turn it over, move it to the other side, take your cards. And when you play them to your tableau and put them back, that's where you can rearrange it. But yeah, this and it's it's kind of like a tower defense game, because you're defending the village, and as the village points run is out, done. So it's big boss after big boss battle. It's awesome. That's Aeon's End.
Okay, that was number 6.
Number 6.
Okay, my number 6 is a pair of games. They do the exact same thing, but one has a space theme and one has a fantasy theme. And I'm talking about Star Realms / Hero Realms.
Yeah.
Essentially the same game, just pick your favorite flavor. Now, depending on what you want, Hero Realms has some campaign expansions that you can play through, which is really quite neat. It has the cooperative aspect to it. Star Realms is completely just a duel between the two players, but the two systems are very, very identical. I prefer actually Hero Realms because of the campaign aspect.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking for the fighting, the duel aspect, I'm going with Star Realms. And yeah, it's a fantastic deck building game. Doesn't do anything groundbreaking in the deck building genre, but man, is it a lot of fun. And man, can you just hammer out like
toe-to-toe matches.
Oh man, you can hammer out 7 games. You can do a best of 7 in an evening very easily.
Cool.
Yeah,
that was your number.
That was my number 6. Star Realms / Hero Realms.
My number 5 has tragically fallen, and I think you know what I'm talking about. And this is one of those games that has fallen because of that setup and cognitive rulebook cognitive load, and that's Mage Knight. I love this game to bits. Absolutely adore this game, but it's one of those games where it's like, okay, I gotta quickly refresh the rulebook, get that programming back in my RAM, and once it's there, then I'll play a week's worth of games, because it's one of those things like, okay, I got the rule set there, everything's humming, the engine's going. All right, don't interrupt me. Daddy's not cooking. Daddy's not a short order cook. I got to get this game done. So yeah, brilliant game. Yeah, I mean, I gush all over it all night if I wanted to. But Mage Knight, that's my number 5.
Okay, number 5 is not chess. Though it's the most chess-like game on our list, and that is Onitama.
Yeah.
Is our number 5. And great dueling chess-like game. And I always like to say it's chess-like because your pawns and master pawn are moving across the board, but they're dictated by the cards that are selected at the beginning of the game. And you have to use one of those cards to move one of your pieces, and then it goes into the community piece. Yeah. And then you take the community piece, so the cards are ever so changing all the time amongst the two players. There's only 5? There's only the 5 cards. Yep. Each player has 2, and then there's the one community one.
There's one always in limbo.
And they're always shifting based on how you're moving your pawns, and you're just trying to do one of 2 things. Take out the opponent's master pawn, or get your master pawn onto the opponent's steps. Steps.
Temple steps, yeah.
Yeah. And oh my goodness, so good. It is just so good. Onitama. Yeah. I do have the one expansion. I don't have the second expansion, but I do have the first expansion. But I don't have the one that introduces like the wind spirit.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else. But then I heard there's another expansion coming for it that's adding ninjas to the game.
Oh no!
Which is kind of interesting. But Onitama, just the base game as it is, fantastic, and especially if you want like a very quick chess-like game. Yeah. in your collection, and the component quality of this game is amazing.
Yeah.
Neoprene player board, nice. So
cool.
That was my number 5.
My number 4 is one of those games that is it's not the cognitive load about the rule book. It's all the fiddly components that need to get put in place before you can get at this thing. And you see, you're laughing because you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Gloomhaven.
Oh my gosh, it's so
Love
fiddly.
Me some Gloomhaven, but this is a table hog. And There's a lot of apps that you can use, but I play board games for the tactile, so I don't mind doing all those little busy things, but I have to have it out. And so once it's out, that's another one of those games that once it's out, I'm running through at least minimum 5 to 8 scenarios if I can make it happen.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, if I don't suck, maybe those 5 to 8 scenarios are all the one try on the same scenario. So yeah, that's my number 4, Gloomhaven.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
1 week to try to get one scenario done. Okay, my number 4 is the first tile laying game on in a 2-player tile laying game. And we're talking about Patchwork.
Oh,
it is so good.
Yeah.
This is Uwe Rosenberg's first foray, I believe, into the polyomino tile laying aspect, and I really enjoy it because it does have the economic piece of the buttons and having to pay your buttons for the quilt pieces, and then every now and then that takes, then it costs time, and then you move your time, and then you cross a button space, you get some buttons to buy some more things, and then as soon as once you reach the end of the time track, can't fill your quilt anymore, and you can earn negative points. Of course, it's an Uwe Rosenberg game where you can earn negative points.
I've been there.
So Patchwork is fantastic. We play it a ton, and I've seen people post pictures of their completed board, and I've never even come close.
Oh yeah, that's an achievement.
And I have a math brain and a spatial element brain, and I try to make it happen, but I've never come close.
You should see this guy pack a trunk of his car when it comes to summer vacation.
Tetris was my friend as a kid.
Cool. All right, my number 3. My number 3 replaces the need for me to even think about terraforming Mars, because I think this is a better engine builder, and this is Underwater Cities. It's an engine builder. It does such, as simple as its solo implementation is, it does a fantastic job at blocking you with the areas that you need to get to make things happen, and all of a sudden things start to cascade, and boy is it ever a fun game because there's lots of cards. So yeah, and I know you have this, and I know you really enjoy this game too. So again, Underwater Cities,
and a game that I have not played solo.
And the best part is that when people play it like 3 or 4 players, it can run long. And but it's not a boring game. It just can run long. Solo, oh, dude, you bang through a game in 20 minutes, half an hour. So yeah.
Crazy.
So Underwater Cities, that's my number 3.
Okay. My top 3 are pretty much set. Number 3 is a game that I just talked about on the show not too long ago, and we play it consistently. It comes out at least every couple of weeks. 7 Wonders Duel.
Yeah, you talk about this.
I talk about it a lot. It's the best version of 7 Wonders, I think. 7 Wonders does have a 2-player variant in its core box, this Big Brother box. It is a horrible 2-player variant that no one should ever try to attempt. And that's not even conjecture. That's fact. If you're going to play 7 Wonders 2-player,
scientifically proven. Yeah.
If you're going to play 7 Wonders 2-player, you go and pick up 7 Wonders Duel. And you may as well pick up the Pantheon expansion and the Agora expansion because they just add so much depth on top of the fantastic drafting game. And talk about a tug of war. There are 3 different win conditions in 7 Wonders Duel, and you have to keep them all in balance because if one person runs away with one of them, chances are it's not going to points. It's going to win by military or by science. Or in the case of the Agora expansion, Senate seats.
Yay!
So 7 Wonders Duel is number 3.
My number 2, I've spoken about it before, and that is Marvel Champions. Yeah. Now, in this spot, I probably will also kind of sideways put Lord of the Rings, the card game, because that and this and Arkham Horror are kind of got a same DNA structure, kind of from my point of view. So, but Marvel Champions, yeah, that's one of those games where it's not a difficult rule set, and it's, you know, there's such challenging levels once you start off, and you get a groove for it. Then you can turn the pressure on and have some really great games if you start to understand your hero deck. So yeah, and I've got so much more to explore. So that's why it's so high up on the list, because there's a lot of stuff to go have fun with. So Marvel Champions.
100%. That's a fantastic choice. That's actually the only way I've been playing Marvel Champions mostly has been solo. So great. Okay, number 2 for me is a game that you really enjoy, and I believe Mel actually also really enjoys, and that's Japur.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it is by far one of the best, or I guess in my opinion, the second best 2-player game of all time. It's got a very good push and pull. When do I cash in my cards to get the points before my opponent cashes in their cards to get the points? And if you don't know Japur, go and look it up.
Yeah, it's on BGA.
It is on BGA.
And I thought I was good at it until I played on BGA and stunk it up.
Oh, baby. There are some Japur masters out there where it's like, I'll lose 2-0 all the time, because it's a best of 3. That's how quick a game can actually go. And I don't think I've ever actually won a single match.
Either that, or I played against Bobby Fischer, because
just knew exactly when to cash in.
Oh man, I got smoked. Just smoked. It was embarrassing. It was just like I just wanted to delete my account and just walk away from the computer.
Such a simple little card game that has
go cut the grass.
Amazing depth to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Japur.
Cool. Well, here's my number 1, and I hope you're in agreement with this. This is one of those games where it's rare where you have a game that plays brilliantly solo, brilliantly 2-player, brilliantly 3-player, and so on and so forth. And that's Spirit Island.
That's a great choice.
This is probably the best cognitive puzzle challenge, risk take, push your luck maybe. It has all of those really edgy, anxious decisions all rolled up into one game, and I love the idea that the island's fighting back now. Yeah, I love it. So if you've not ever played Spirit Island, give it a try. Absolutely. And I mean, Brian, go ahead. I mean, you think you got this game before I did, and
yeah, I don't think I've explored it as much as you may have, but I remember I played it a few times. I've only ever played it solo and 2-player, and when I play solo, it's not. You have to play 2 spirits essentially attacking the island, but everything. 100% agree. I haven't even ever touched any of the expansion content because there's so much to explore in just that base game, and my win rate at Spirit Island is extremely low. That's probably because I think that I'm intelligent.
Counted on one hand. Yeah.
I think I'm intelligent, and other people say that I'm intelligent, but that game makes me feel dumb.
Well, it's one of those things where all of a sudden you're like, well, you know what? I can take a risk, and then all of a sudden, whoa, I didn't see, and then everything's done.
And cascade, and let's just reset to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So my number 1, Spirit Island. I'm waiting for this one.
My number 1, and then cut episode.
Yeah. And we're back.
Yeah. My number 1 is my number 2 game of all time, and I can't go an episode with Cardboard Conjecture without mentioning it. It has to be Targi. It is the greatest 2-player game created of all time. There's very little randomness to it. Very tactile gameplay, and it is very in your opponent's face.
Oh,
you're constantly blocking what they want to try to achieve, and so the concept of Targi is putting this worker placement on these edge border cards to hopefully they match up in crosshairs for these action cards in the center.
Yeah.
And might be some really good ones that you really want, and then your opponent just puts their guy on the row that you can't go there.
Yeah.
And you invent new swear words every time that this game is played because so-and-so, in this case Jen, blocks me, and then it's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah.
And then the expansion just takes it to the whole next level. It's right there,
baby.
right behind your shoulder. The expansion takes it to the next. We never play without the expansion. The expansion makes the tactile, the tactical feeling of the game even more robust.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
So.
I'm going to throw a curveball because we didn't write it down, but it just occurred to me. I have a game in my head that didn't make your list that I want to throw out there and go, hey, what did you consider this one? And vice versa. If you're thinking, well, I totally thought this would be on your list. The game that I thought would make your list that I kind of sneakily prompted was Akrotiri. I love Akrotiri.
And we just, a fantastic game, great game, love it. We just
but
don't
there's just
play
so
it.
many good games out there,
There's
right?
so many good games. These ones, so especially those ones in my top 5 here, Onitama, Patchwork, Seven Wonders Duel, Japur, and Targi. If you were to randomly say what game is Ryan playing on a weekend, one of those 5 is being played.
Yeah.
Quite regularly.
Cool.
And
was there a game that that you thought would have made my list for sure that didn't make my list?
You see, I can't remember all the games that have solo modes.
Because you don't care about solo modes.
I don't. The solo mode's never in the forefront of my mind.
Nobody's mind. Nobody's mind.
Nobody's mind. It's over your back shoulder there. You have Star Wars Outer Rim, I see on your back, and that's got a fantastic solo mode.
I haven't played that one yet.
You see, that's one I have played.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So good. You have to try it.
I'm gonna do like you do. I'm gonna put it face up.
Especially now that the expansion's finally in the pipeline, coming out soon.
Hey, Outer Rim. That'll make.
You gotta get. You gotta get it.
I think we wrapped up a couple of good lists, and we took care of a good chunk of our hour here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what other people's favorite solo and 2-player games are.
Yeah, you should throw it up on Twitter.
Yep, drop us a line when this episode launches and you're listening to it. Throw it down on Twitter.
Yeah,
say, hey, this is my favorite 2-player game. Hey, this is mine.
At BC Boardgamers, we're happy to have that conversation with you.
Ryan, you're insane for saying Targi so much. I just don't see your appeal.
He barely talks about it.
If you play Targi once, you're going to see what I mean.
Nah. Well, what I mean is to say thank you so much for listening to the episode. Yeah, and that being said, I'm your host Norm,
and I'm 1-2 Punch Ryan.
And we'll catch you later. 1-2 punch. Good one.
Okay.
I think it's we're gonna do our little 5-minute bio break.
Take a 5-minute break here, and then we'll come back with the episode 100 spectacular.
I can't believe we got there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Okay, I'm phasing us out. Sorry about that. Norm was a little late. Oh,
We're back. Are we live?
yeah, yeah. They can see us.
We're live. All right. Cool. Episode 100.
Oh my gosh,
Here we go. Gotta bring up the
100.
notes here.
I'm gonna get ridiculous on this episode.
Okay, am I gonna have to edit some stuff for ridiculous and nostalgia and
I think I programmed a beep button.
Cool. All right. You ready for this one?
I think so. Are you ready for this? Do 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 do.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Cardboard Conjecture. I'm your host, Norm.
And I'm Ryan.
And on this episode, we're going to banter about some board games. We're going to talk about some news. And Ryan, what's so special about this episode?
I don't know, Norm. Perhaps it's episode 100. Wow, 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 wow.
You've been watching too much Cabal.
That wasn't a program sound. That was all natural, people.
That was au natural. Okay, coming back in. And we're back. This is Cardboard Conjecture, going straight into some banter. And
Norm,
Ryan,
slow down and enjoy the moment that this is episode number 100.
it's 100. I
How
can't
the
believe
hell?
we got to
How the hell
100.
did we get here?
I don't know. This is about as far as achievements go. This is about the geekiest achievement that I can peg up there. So, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
proud of it. I'm
Oh,
very
yeah.
proud of it.
My wife shared no excitement with me as I like we're recording episode number 100 tonight, and she's like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I'll mimic what my wife did. I said, "Honey, did you see on the calendar? Podcasting tonight? Yep. You see, we're doing episode 100." And she was reading a book in her phone and went, "Uh-huh." It's like, okay,
Okay, here we go. Perfect.
thank you for that enthusiasm. I'm gonna
Okay.
ride that wave all night, babe.
So Norm,
Yes, Ryan.
what's your game you want to talk about on episode 100?
I want to talk about all of them, but I do want to talk about what I played just the other day is Red Rising, and that is a Stonemaier game, and from what I've read and what you've also told me, that it's kind of a passion project for him and that IP. Now I've not read Red Rising, the series, but this is it's a card game. Deck building, maybe. I don't know what you would definitively classify it. It says card drafting, yes. There's some dice rolling, but that's just because of a certain choice that you make. But you're basically picking up you're basically playing a card down to one of four factions that has resources attached to it, and then you're picking up a card. Now, when you play down a card, you're playing the card's intuitive power or I guess action, and then when you pick up a card is when you get the resource. And it's a clever Euro track, 4-track kind of thing. Well, not 3 tracks, because one of them is having the alliance, or the big eagle marker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've played, and now even Jamie Stegmaier goes on to say that it wasn't until he played, is it Fantasy Realms? Yes. When he played Fantasy Realms, he finally clicked in on the mechanism that this game required, because in his designer's notes, he says that it was a pursuit of about 4 to 5 years for this project to come to fruition. And so yeah, now I've not played Fantasy Realms. I think you've picked it up, but and there's another version that we've of this mechanism that we played, which Xeriscape, which was Chris's game that he showed us on Tabletop Simulator, and just that whole idea of playing down, picking up, and having something happen, and when you pick up, something else happens. I really liked Chris's game because his theme was, xeriscape gardening, which is low, kind of more natural gardening, and you have the plants and you have the features and you have architecture. All of that makes sense to me, and the connectivity that the card powers had. This Red Rising, it made sense to me on a mechanism level, but on a thematic level, I hadn't a clue what was going on. Right. Now, maybe that's my fault. Maybe it's because I don't know the IP, but it didn't turn me off. It just kind of, I went, okay, this is one of those games where I'm going to have to understand all the cards. Like I have to see the whole picture to understand the big picture.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely one of the. This is a game that Jen and I have played, and we played it actually quite a bit. One of our big turnoffs for the game was all of the text on the cards, because most of the cards do something completely different.
Yeah.
And just having to sit there and read, what does the card do? What are the cards in my hand? And kind of knowing what one do I want to pretty much deploy, I think was the action.
Yeah.
And then
when you
which
put
one,
it down.
which one do I want to pick up? What are the synergies of the cards? That was a big turnoff for us, was all the reading of the text, and really slowed down what is essentially a pretty simple mechanism of a game. But the depth came in or I don't even know depth, or complexity came in, just understanding what do the cards do. And then
the synergy,
the synergies. And then I apparently, if you kind of know the universe, you kind of know which cards or which colors are going to probably combo together.
I'm kind of getting that feeling like I'm being left out of a good story. Right? It's like I'm playing this, but going, I don't understand what everybody else understands about this. Sorry.
I guess the solution would be for us to actually read the story.
Yeah. Let's go read the IP. I mean, and I'm all for that. I mean, I love a good story. So if now again, this is Jamie Stegmaier, who's made some pretty good choices. Right.
Oh yeah.
So if this is a choice that he's going to pursue because it's a passion project, people always want to make right by their passion projects. So maybe I need to go and check out the IP. Right. So cool. That was so that's Red Rising,
which is actually interesting that you talk about that one, because one of the games in my game order that just showed up to my house not too long ago was Fantasy Realms. And so we've been playing that a little bit. But the game that I want to talk about is Abandon All Artichokes, designed by Emma Larkins, who was on the show not that long ago, and published by Game Right. And Abandon All Artichokes is a fantastic card game. I'm pretty much calling it Sushi Go Plus.
Yeah.
And the plus meaning that there's just some extra strategy that you need to employ in this game. We've been playing it as a family, Jen, Regan, and I. Now, Regan's 6.
That's right. You're telling me.
And this game boasts, there's lots of text in the cards, and he can't really read yet, like read to comprehension or really read some of the words and what's going on. But after a couple games, after we were explaining to him that this is what the carrot does, this is what the onion does, this is what the broccoli does, games after that, he's got an association type of memory.
The instructional design on me nerded out when you were talking to me about this cognitive relationship that he made with the image and the event.
So now he knows that if he picks up the carrot, he knows what the carrot does now without having to read the text, because he's seen it a few times. This is that where I was talking about one episode where I was talking about the Great Western Trail experiment with him. And he knew what the icons did. Like, he knew that the cow spot was where you bought the cows.
Yeah.
The building icons where you build the building. Like, I'm going to have a lot of fun in the next few years as he develops some of these other skills that he's going to need in order to play games. Now, I digress from Abandon All Artichokes, which is a fantastic game. I like it how she plays it as it's a kind of like a deck deconstruction or a deck wrecker. Yeah. Essentially, all the players start with a 10-card deck of artichokes that do absolutely nothing. They have no power. They clog up your deck. And essentially, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be kind of getting drafting cards into your deck that do a whole schwack load of different things. One of the things that most of them do are get rid of these artichoke cards. And essentially, you win is if at the end of your turn, you draw up your hand size. And if you draw up your hand size and there is no artichokes in your hand, you win. So you've abandoned all of your artichokes. And it's really good. It's game plays fast. All the vegetables and all these cards do weird and crazy things, which is awesome. Like getting rid of artichokes or passing cards around the table, or just putting a card on the top of your deck, putting a card on the top of somebody else's deck. Or I play this card and now it goes to my opponent's pile or something like that.
Yeah.
Really, really quite cool. Really interesting. It's one of those games I always look, I went after I've played it a few times, like, man, how come I can't think of something like this? Like, this is just genius.
Well, and I think we're privy to having talked to her in our interview, and we asked her, and she went through the whole development process of coming up with that game, and I was so impressed with the discipline of her design process, where she treated, because in the music industry, I know a lot of writers who treat writing like a job. They wake up, they sit down, and they get whatever they're using and they start to write. And she has her own discipline in that manner. And it makes, now that you've played it and given the report, it makes sense, because we've heard about her process. So the product makes, I can't wait to play it though. You got to bring it to school.
It's so good. Plays fast, plays quick. My 6-year-old son can make the association without having to read the cards, which
has he beat you guys yet? That's the achievement.
No, he hasn't, because even though he knows what they do, he doesn't know how to form strategy. So he picks the one that looks the cutest, but they all are cute.
Plays like me. So.
But all the art is cute. Like, I made the joke on Twitter, like, look, banning all artichokes. Who wants to get rid of these guys? They're so cute.
Those little eyes, they're just adorable. Yeah.
So, abandon all artichokes, Emma Larkins, Game Right. Fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's now in the quiver, like my card case. It's now
it made the quiver.
It made the quiver, so now it's going to be permanently there for all road trips. And
that's like starting lineup, man.
Yes,
that is starting lineup. All right. Let's move into some news. Do we need to do the beep beep beep?
Beep 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 beep.
The news brought to you by
Cardboard
Conjecture. Wow, we don't make good ad prompts. Okay, so
you think we would have this figured out 100 episodes later?
Yeah, it's a thing in process, right?
A couple quick ones.
Yeah,
because we got a big topic today. so one game is that they are coming out with a new Seven Wonders game.
What?
I know, and they are boasting it. So it's called Seven Wonders Architects. It is not an expansion to Seven Wonders, but rather is now a new family weight version of Seven Wonders, which got a lot of people really kind of perked up, because Seven Wonders kind of for a lot of families is already a family game.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have I don't know a lot about it. I just saw that it is there, but
I've recognized right away that it's still being done by Antoine Bauza.
Yep, and
so
it's still
not like somebody's wrecking the world that he created.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's out there. You can go to BGG and look at it. I'm curious to what a new family weight version of Seven Wonders is going to actually look like. It's still got drafting.
Oh, you know what I just saw here? Sorry for cutting you off, but I just noticed that each player is physically building out of like puzzle tiles their own monument.
I see that too on mine. So it's like, that's
And there's
pretty.
cards and there's tokens. This could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I just haven't looked at the gameplay mechanism into it. So Seven Wonders
Right on.
Architects. Another quick one that's coming out that I saw was really interesting is that they have now the 4th version of Azul coming out. What are they calling this one? The Queen's Garden.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be Azul Queen's Gambit, but that got erased right off the bat.
I think there's some licensing on that.
Yeah, so the Queen's Garden, and it looks like we're drafting hex tokens or hex tiles to fill up areas in this case. So I'm assuming it's going to have a lot of that exact same Azul feel of filling up areas to score your points, and you're drafting them from central locations and stuff like that. This one, when I look at the pictures, this one looks like this one could be one of the more complex Azul games. I'm looking at some of the pictures and I have no idea what's going on.
Well,
Usually
and I've only played the first one, so I'm not the person to weigh in on this, but it looks, I mean, as far as what I remember from the first one, it's a busier board. Looks like more layers of choices too.
Yeah, so I'm always game. I haven't played the second one. I didn't play the stained glass one, but I did play Summer Pavilion with Dave, Shay, and Mel from Board on the Air, and I really enjoyed that version. The Summer Pavilion version was really, really good. So I'm interested to see what this one has to offer.
Right on.
So Queen's Garden, Azul.
I'm really pumped about this last one. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, because I've heard you gush about Calico. I've heard you pump up good things about Cascadia. Yeah. And now the team that brought you Calico and Cascadia, Flat Out Games, has on Kickstarter, at the time of this recording, for the next 37 days. This is a long Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
But Verdant, am I saying that right? Verdant?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so on Kickstarter, and I don't know anything about it other than it's that the team that brought us a couple games that you really enjoy. And they've mentioned on Twitter that if you, Norm, enjoy both Calico and Cascadia, that you are most likely going to find those formulas in this game as well. And you're probably going to really enjoy it. It looks like it's like a lot of things to do with plants and planting these plants.
We on Twitter kind of went back and forth. They had we had posted, that Concordia was discussed, and I think I had said in there, their approach reminds me of how Rosenberg took his patchwork kind of proof of concept and went, okay, let's apply this now to all these other kind of ideas or themes with more architecture around it. And when they responded in Twitter, they said, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for here. So the Calico core DNA is such a great abstract game. Then Cascadia adds another, kind of dimensional approach to it with a little bit more a mechanism layering. And that one was even cooler. So and it looks like that same whole kind of market of one element matched with, there's like, it looks like house plants, and then matched with items, and then possibly matched with rooms of a house. So yeah, color me intrigued here. Oh, and I'm also noticing too that there looks like to be a sunrise and a sunset.
Right.
2 sets of cards. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the price points got me very intrigued. $29 is getting you this game, which I'm okay with that. I might actually get in on this Kickstarter because that might mean I hope in the pledge manager that I can also add on some Kickstarter versions of Calico and Cascadia, because I think I just need to have them.
I just did something that you usually do.
Did you back it live?
I just clicked back this project.
This is real time.
I had to.
This is real time junkie behavior here.
No, this is well thought, well researched, calculated decision making, and a little bit of a itchy trigger finger. So
This
click,
is
click,
awesome.
click.
Click, click, click. Go there. You've got another. Probably by the time this episode releases, there's probably only about like 20 some episodes, or sorry, 20 some days.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still a lot of days to back this. They're using this as a pre-order pretty much.
Yeah.
At this point,
and I mean, like you said, we just pointed out, excellent track record so far.
Great track record.
Cool. Well, let's use that as a transition point and
right.
sip. You don't have anything, anything to drink or anything?
I don't need any. I'm good.
Holy moly, must be.
I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher.
Yeah. Cold coffee. Where's my cold coffee? Speaking of cold coffee, here we go. And coming back in. And welcome. This is Cardboard Conjecture. And man, Ryan, I don't know how we got here, but topic is our 100th episode. How do you feel about that?
This is very surreal for me. Because I don't know how many people listening to this have actually listened to us from the very beginning. Because those very first tracks, man, was that raw audio. When we used to set up the microphones in the back of my classroom, when it was prep time, when we were supposed to be doing prep time, and we just set up.
Well, we did it at lunchtime.
And before schools. We did some before schools too. Or when we had to try to find some noise reduction areas of the school.
Yeah. Because recording with a open area condenser mic in a large classroom doesn't have that.
And like I had a classroom
mic sound.
And there's a classroom above mine, and they would riffle the desks across the floor. And
yeah, it was like guerrilla filmmaking, man.
But grab a couple microphones, plug them into a computer, and just start talking just one day.
Well, and it was, I mean, that you know me well enough now. It's like, okay, it's a great idea, but there's just that initiative, and so for me, it was like, we just have to start. We just have to start, and then we're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna suck. And,
so if you go back and you listen to those and they're all available on Podbean. When you did the big migration from Libsyn to Podbean, you brought everything over, so you can go on to Podbean and you can find all the way back to the very beginning.
And speaking of very beginning, we're probably going to track back and kind of reflect on some of the games.
That's the topic of today. We're going to reflect back on the years, and we'll address that too. It has taken us years to get to this point. I know now we are a weekly podcast, and we have been recording weekly, producing weekly content for quite some time now, but it hasn't always been that case. And we'll talk about that too, and everything like that.
And I want to also mention, and I mentioned to you before, and I'm going to quickly mention it now, and I won't say too much so that I don't get all crackly in the voice and watery in the eyes. But this was, when we started this, this was at the same time as when Daniel relapsed. And I knew from our first, and when I say relapse, Daniel had leukemia and then was good for about 2 years, and then he relapsed. And and he's good now. So don't everybody, he's in grade 11, everything's good now, right? Long journey, like 8-year journey. But this was the impetus of me knowing that I needed something to keep my brain occupied and respite. I needed some respite from the heavy that was going on in my life. And I knew board games was like cardboard, retreat for me. And then you and I started connecting more on the games. And then we just kind of we started talking about podcasts that we're listening to. And then I think I just kind of went,
I think we can do that.
We can do that. I work in the industry as well as teach. So it's like, it's not a challenge. Content. And I think that's what I said is we just got to make sure that we have a good idea that we can build on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
perfect.
That's from my side. That was my need and reasoning for getting this going. And I mean, I don't know what your perspective was, because I mean, you might have been like, okay, sure, let's go.
I think you nailed it on the head, because I was just like, I think we can do this. How hard is it just to plug a microphone into a computer and just spew out information and your thoughts? And then hopefully somebody out there might like it. And if no one likes it, I don't care. If I reached one person, it's like my teaching philosophy. If I reached one person today, I did my job and I can get paid.
Well, and you just provided a good point too, is we're both teachers. So it's not like we're unfamiliar with that whole sage on the stage kind of thing, right? And from our point of view, when we talk about something in class, we're researched and we're educated on it. And I think that was our approach too when we came to, talking about certain games, is that we want to, I mean, Cardboard Conjecture, that's kind of our tongue in cheek of going, it's like, hey, here's our 2 bits. But from our professional background, our 2 cents worth is pretty.
Well, that's where Cardboard Conjecture really
deep.
Initially came from, was we would play only a game maybe a couple times, and then we would want to record our thoughts about it.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, and then like, this was our conjecture about it. These are like the initial impressions type thing. And that is still true most part to today in some of our reviews.
And we're going to find out when we go through all these games that it's like, and I think I love the example that I gave you, but like all these games in the beginning that we liked and we're like, oh yeah, top shelf game, or, and now it's like, oh man, I haven't played that. And I said, yeah, when Friends came out, I liked the show. I don't watch it anymore. Right. So there might be games that have kind of gotten into that groove where it's like they were cool for the moment, but I've moved on. Right.
Before we do that, I think I think there's somebody wanting to chime in today.
Hey there, Norman Ryan. It's Ian here. I just wanted to say congratulations on 100 episodes. It's a pretty big feat. You have as many episodes as Winnie the Pooh has acres in his forest.
Yeah.
You have enough episodes for TV syndication. And if you really want to sound impressive, you can say that you have a century's worth of episodes. So that's pretty awesome. I was pretty thrilled when you guys asked me to be on the show, and it was been a lot of fun co-hosting with you guys. We had a lot of fun talking about all kinds of board game topics, and it was great. And we've done lots of cool stuff, like had some great guest stars, and you guys built that community with the What You've Been Playing Wednesdays, and you've had a whole bunch of other podcasters and YouTubers on the show to join in. You've even started up games on BGA, having some game tournaments. It's really grown, so congratulations. It's been awesome. Yeah, let's see how long you guys can keep it going. And yeah, congratulations once again.
Right on.
Oh, thank you, Ian. Again,
right on, Ian. Thank
you. You were a very big part, especially for the past year, on the podcast when the pandemic hit, and we asked Ian to be on as a third chair. Lots of great insights.
Another teacher, so I mean,
another teacher.
Yeah.
Lots of great insights into gaming.
Well, I took a couple notes.
Yeah.
I took a couple notes from his commentary, and my first one was, did he say that we had big feet? I'm not sure. So, but no, he said it was a very big feat. That, and I'm like, we got big feet. No, we don't. But yeah, the guests that we had, I'm super proud of the fact. Like, I wrote 2 down right away, Rob Davio and Corey Kineska. Like,
yeah, we started.
It was one of those
guests.
things. Yeah, it was one of those things. It's like, what's the worst they can say? No. So I threw it out there.
Just like you said, Emma Larkins wasn't on the show. We just mentioned that. I remember I got to interview you've talked to Shen Fun Lim and Jay Cormier.
Shen and Jay.
We talked to Travis Jones when he was releasing Pendulum for Stonemaier Games. We had lots of great guests, and we've also had lots of guests from the community that we have built, and the community that is around Canada and other podcasting sites. Like Rob from the Meeple Dungeon has been on a few times. David and Shay from Board on the Air. They've been on a few times for our show. Aaron from Boards Alive was one of our first guests on the show.
Yeah.
And Joe Salin, which we have to give a shout out on 100 episodes to Joe. He was kind of like a big influence for you, especially when we first were getting into the podcast scene. He had a podcast, him and, oh my gosh, Andrew Dennison, right?
Yep.
And who is
Trent
Ham. Great podcast. The Good, the Bored, and the Ugly. Always enjoyed what they had to say. That was a big reason for us getting going. They were on the, I was on Joe's show once, and he came on and talked to us at one of our Cardboard in the Classroom episodes. Yeah. It was great. Fantastic.
Yeah. Let's bounce back to earlier episodes. I've got the list up here, and I'm going to throw some at you and see what you respond. So our first episode, okay, and we recorded short to begin with. It was just this kind of, okay, let's just get going, and then it'll just grow.
Yeah.
Guilds of London and Snowdonia.
Still own both of them.
You still what?
I still own both of them.
Yeah. Cool.
I can't remember the last time I've played either, though.
I played Snowdonia last year and because they had that big Kickstarter with all the stuff coming out, and I just got all the expansions, and then I brought it out. It's kind of cool. I like it. Here's the next batch. For me, At the Gates of Loyang. For you, Raiders of the North Sea.
Play Raiders of the North Sea like quite regularly.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic game. Shen Phillips.
Oh yeah, and the Miko. I love his art. And so for me, At the Gates of Loyang with Uwe Rosenberg. That's a great agriculture game. The next one, episode 4, Lost Expedition for me, and Arboretum for you.
Right. Oh, Arboretum is a great game. It's never going anywhere. That one's in the quiver too.
That one's on my shelf.
That one's on the starting lineup. It's in the starting lineup for card games.
And I still play Lost Expedition. It's such a fun solo game too. It's very challenging. So right on. Conjecture number 5. Tobago and Akrotiri.
You say Tobago, I say Tobago.
I say Tobago. Let's call the whole thing puzzle.
That was a big thing in that recording, I remember.
I still play Akrotiri. I love that game.
I still play Tobago. It's a fantastic one.
And I still remember the first time I played with you when you taught me in the classroom during a board game club. Yeah,
that was a board game club regular for many sessions.
Here's the next one. Signore and Pioneer Days. I still play Signore.
Pioneer Days got shipped a long time ago. I should actually go back and listen to that episode because
see what you said about it.
See what I said about it because I remember playing it. Oh, how long ago? I don't even remember how long ago it was. And we were playing it. I was like, this thing is hot garbage. This is going on the for sale pile. Remember, we always used to say that we always talked about games in a positive manner because these were games that were from our own personal collection to everything. I probably gave it high praise during that recording.
Yeah. That's funny.
But no, it's not part of my collection anymore.
Next one, I know we both have these. Dragon Castle and Five Tribes.
Five Tribes is a top 10 game of all time for me.
I still have both of them on the shelf. Awesome games.
Yeah.
Then we run through some top 10s I know my top 10 since 2018 got changed since we did a revamp. And if we did another revamp, I probably have a different top 10.
Mm-hmm. I think then I'm getting a radio signal here. Somebody else is coming in.
Is there someone knocking at the door?
I think there's somebody coming in knocking at the door here.
Hi, I'm David.
And I'm Shay.
And this is a congratulations to Norm, Ryan, and Ian on their 100th episode.
Yes, we want to say good job on making it this far.
Yes, congratulations on being the second most prolific podcasting site in Saskatoon.
You mean prolific in the sense that they've had slightly less episodes?
Yeah.
Or, okay, yeah, because I was going to say in terms of quality, meh.
Well, they try a little harder than us. Congratulations, guys.
Good job.
Oh, David and Shay from Board on the Air. Yes, they are a weekly radio show here in Saskatoon that talk about board games. And
I play regularly with Dave and Shay, Jordan, and Mel. I do try to get every couple weeks. I DM them in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. But I think the most important thing to work on here is Dave's pronunciation of whatcha.
Yes, Dave, it's what you've been playing, not what
Whatcha.
happened. We are not proper people. We don't speak proper English here.
No,
Whatcha. What
It's not the King's English.
What you want.
It's the King's English. Whatcha.
That
was awesome.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, they've maintained their regular weekly on CFCR here in Saskatoon. That's been awesome for them too.
Absolutely. Let's go back to check these lists out here. We moved. Here we go. Camelot and London 2nd edition.
Still have Shadows over Camelot.
I still
remember that Games Club game. And I think it's brought up many times during that recording.
Where I kept asking, how does this game work again?
And in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is odd behavior. This is not typical. Like, he knows this game. He's the traitor. Everybody, and I could not convince anybody to convict you of the traitor because they didn't know you.
Well, and the students are like, Mr. LePage isn't. He's not a
bad guy.
I'm a bad guy.
He's a bad man.
I'm a bad. London 2nd edition, Martin Wallace. It's like, dunk, it's right there. I could point right there. It's somewhere in that area there. So yeah, I totally play that one. Let's see. Crystal Clans and Dice Throne.
Yeah, and we have to mention too that this was a small
at this phase too. Yeah, go ahead.
This was a small part of the Cardboard Conjecture in the early years too. Is when we bounced around the idea of having a third chair, a third person, and so we reached out, or you reached out. I can't remember but Luke.
And I think it was through Joe Sallin too. That kind of like
right.
Yeah,
and the 18XX community, and so you reached out to Luke. And now I can't ever remember his last name.
I'm gonna try it. Heidemacher, I believe.
Some very well done. It was always just Luke.
And I'm sorry, Luke, if I totally said it wrong.
and he brought an interesting perspective to the show for a while because he never was like us, like with the massive amount of games behind us. He had a very, very tight knit, small game collection, but he always went for quality. And he had amazing perspectives that he liked to share with us.
He liked his really heavy, deep stuff.
Yeah. So
this is
that time.
And also, I want to, give some attention to that Luke and I believe, I can't remember his name, from Medicine Hat, but they before the pandemic they had a Hattanooga, which was an 18XX con down in Medicine Hat. And like hundreds of 18XX titles that are out of print or hard to come by or like rares kind of thing. So that was like a big G geek tournament. So yay. Yeah, that was this was the phase when Luke popped on the radar. Yeah. So, and he did Automobile, which is a Martin Wallace game that I have right there. So
nice.
And Dice Throne, that was a game, that's that Yahtzee mechanism game. I think I borrowed this one from Jeff, played it a ton, had fun, and I'm intrigued because now they do that versus, right, where they'll have just 2 characters, and you can buy the small box and then collect that set. And I think I might try that out because Sophie's really good at games now. So
yep, and
Crystal Clans.
And I was very high on Crystal Clans, but I sold it. It's gone. It gone.
Because you got all the factions and everything, and we played it a few times.
Yeah.
I didn't mind
and
it.
I you know what? now that I have all these other dueling card games that don't require a board and don't require to be sat like across the table from somebody, it went.
Cool.
I got my what I wanted out of it, and yep.
Is there someone knocking at the door, Ryan?
Quite possibly. I hear something. I
think someone's knocking at the door.
I do hear something.
Cardboard Kid here. I just wanted to congratulate you on reaching 100 episodes.
Thanks, kid.
Yay!
That kid and the whole Cardboard family.
Yeah.
They are awesome people.
They're awesome.
They're so awesome. I remember our run-in at FallCon before the pandemic hit. The FallCon was our last big thing that we actually went to gaming-wise before the pandemic hit, and we ran into the Cardboard family there, said hi, met them, and everything like that. If you want like the nicest board gaming people in the community here, you got to talk to the family.
And just a big shout out. I've referred to the Cardboard Kid as CK. Big shout out to CK because my daughter kind of watched some episodes, and even my daughter was like, wow, she's impressive how she has all her stuff, written and recorded, and it's like, yeah, so keep doing what you're doing. That's awesome. You're inspiring. You're inspiring people.
Put lots of our content to shame.
Yeah, and at least her pronunciation on games and designers is a lot better than ours. So looking at the list again,
working through the years.
The Estates, that was one of Luke's.
But I love the Estates.
Yeah. Keyforge and El Grande.
It's funny that I reviewed Keyforge. I think I got really hot into Keyforge there. I think I even bought like booster boxes of the decks.
Oh yeah.
Like I have tons of Keyforge decks at the school, and many of them still not even opened because I think I had this big plan of this big Keyforge thing that we were going to do at the school and stuff like that. So I've got lots of decks from the first two sets.
Oh, dude!
I think at the school there.
Don't mess with me.
And unfortunate news recently about Keyforge, but I think it's going to come back. It'll come back.
The Estates, that's such a cutthroat auction game, and El Grande is the penultimate area majority control game. Right there, I absolutely love that game. Bouncing 2.
Then we started doing topics.
Yeah,
every now and then.
We had a good one, breadth and depth board gaming.
Oh, I remember that conversation. It was a really good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of definitive of what you just described as our collection and Luke's collection, right?
Yes.
And then this is the first blip on the radar of Ian when this was about when I think we were in Philadelphia doing a lot of Daniel's pre-bone marrow transplant procedures at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia.
Yes, you were traveling, and I said, hey, Ian, do you want to just come on and just talk? We need to fill out an episode here.
Yeah.
Just come in. He came into my basement.
I need someone to cover me.
Yeah, he came into our basement, and he reviewed Container, the 10th anniversary edition, and I talked about and gushed over Star Wars Rebellion because that was a game that Ian and I both played quite regularly. And then I think that was our first, just because, you were gone to Philadelphia for an extended period of time. We tried to get some recordings in. I remember those. Don't get teary-eyed on me. I'll get teary. But some of those nights when you would just grab the laptop and go into the bathroom, and of where he was being
his hospital room.
Yeah, and trying to get the recording in. You get this massive reverb off the walls.
Oh yeah, it's like don't ever record in a porcelain chamber.
And I just remember the internet connection being so bad.
Oh yeah, well, and it was one of those things where it's like, okay, we got to do it a little later on when the Wi-Fi usage in the hospital was a little lower. And I'm just talking about Daniel because he was a streaming junkie. But yeah, that's when that was one of those moments where I had to focus. And so yes, thanks so much for
Yep, and take care of the family.
Ian
We
jumping in. Yeah,
and we had no problems. We took a bit of a break there, and it was
Well,
okay.
yeah.
It was fine. We weren't huge podcast stars like we
No,
are
yeah.
now.
Oh yeah, we're so big now.
Our one listener that's listening to us right now online.
Let's see. Moving on. Luke did John Company, and I did Hogwarts, Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, and you did Coimbra.
Oh,
And I still have Hogwarts Battle.
actually, we just played Coimbra just the other month, like quite a few weeks ago. But we did just play it, and that's one of the Italian trios games. This was a Vergio.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Jiggly game, and yeah, yep, so good. I really enjoyed that one.
Do you hear something? I hear something.
Oh, I think it's gonna get ridiculous in here.
Oh no.
Hey,
It's
Matt and
getting
John here for Friday Night Games. I want to give a big congrats to Bridge City Boardgamers on their 100th episode.
Yeah, congratulations. And to celebrate, we're going to give our top 100 games.
No, 1,000.
1,000 games, yeah. So coming in at 1,000, we got Catan the card game.
Nice. And at number 999, Pathfinder the card game.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. I'm glad that Ian, Ryan, and Norm didn't cut out anything.
Man, number one was their favorite board game. It just blew my mind.
Number one was amazing. I'm so glad they kept in all 1,000 games that we listed, and didn't cut it down to like a second or anything.
Yeah, congratulations.
On 100 episodes with 1,000 board games that we just listed. So you guys deserve it.
Yes, congrats.
Oh,
Those guys are
that's awesome. Hey, and did you like the part at 500 where they promised to pay our plane tickets out to Ontario?
I loved it.
That was awesome. That was my favorite part of their list.
It's already booked under their names. I'm really good at cryptocurrencies and hacking people's MasterCards and
yeah. Don't you have like 3 degrees in that kind of stuff? Yeah, Friday Night Games. Those guys are awesome. Part of one of our foundations, contributors of What You've Been Playing Wednesday.
Yeah,
and we did that game, last game standing with them. That was so much fun. I mean, I'm so proud of the community that's going on.
They
with
were our
What You've Been
first
Playing.
guests for the Hype Train
that's
segments
right.
that we've been doing. And yeah, Matt and John, if you don't know who they are, go check them out. Friday Night Games. Their podcast it's so funny. they bring a lot of humor.
Yeah. Good, some good Canadian boys, eh?
Good Canadian boys, eh?
All right, let's keep moving on. There was an episode that we told Luke, hey, 18XX, have at her. And we did 18XX in 2018, and he brought on Andrew Dennison, and it's slipping, from Denver, used to be part of Heavy Cardboard.
Aaron something.
But yeah,
Aaron?
they had a great episode of talking about 18XX stuff. And then you and I believe it was this about that pivot point where we went back to 2 seats, and you did Seven Wonders Duel and I did Bonanza.
Obviously, Seven Wonders Duel is still here.
Yeah.
I just talked about it in our last episode as one of my favorite 2-player games of all time.
Cool.
And then we did.
Was that with Targi? Did you talk about Targi? Okay.
That's coming up. I can see it on the list here.
Yeah.
I can see it on the list here.
Episode 23, Gaming Communities of Dice and Men from our province compatriots. And Chad and Ryan and
Adam
there. I mean, that whole prairie sense of humor is got a very kind of meta level of cynicism and sarcasm. I love it.
Those guys are so good. Their podcast was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, they still. I mean, they
still do some content, but it's not on as regular of a
frequent.
basis anymore. But when they do, it's one of those like the game publishers when they do release something, it's quality.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Moving on, we have Clash of Rage, or as the French say, Clash of Rage, and Wildlands. And Wildlands still there. I've all the maps and everything.
Clash of Rage. Actually, it's a skirmish game that Regan can even play. We just chuck dice and battle each other, and it's fun. It's good fun.
That's a high school. Our board game club favorite, isn't it?
It was, yeah. They played it quite a few times, and just a
that
big old dice chucker.
Gotta like the dice chucker. And then we did Whistle Stop and Clank in Space. In Space.
Whistle Stop, still a great game. Still own it.
Yeah. I still have Clank in Space. Nice. And the next one. This is the first of many connections that we've made with. We did Lord of the Rings: Journeys in Middle Earth, and that's when we invited Rob over. And I had met Rob previously at Terminal City TableCon in Vancouver through Aaron and Quentin Boards Alive, and met that whole, I like to call it the Kelowna cartel. Met all those guys, and just made a cool connection with Rob and Anna Marie, and then invited him on the show, and that's where you met him the first time. So
yeah, and speaking of
got a great segue.
Hello, everybody. This is Rob and Anna Marie from the Meeple Dungeon.
Hello.
And we are just stopping by here on the Cardboard Conjecture podcast, episode 100, to give a big congrats to our friends there, Norm, Ryan, and Ian. And just, we just wanted to say congratulations.
My prairie pals.
Yeah, on your 100th episode. That's super cool.
You guys are so fantastic.
Yeah, they're really good at what they do. And they've just been the nicest group of guys. And
I want to say thank you so much for thinking of us and including us in your What You've Been Playing Wednesdays podcast.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Oh, it's been so much fun, and we're just so happy to be a part of it, and we thank you guys.
Yeah, and we're hoping that, in the near future, we might be able to game in person with you guys at some point.
Fingers,
at a con,
eyes, toes crossed.
Yeah, maybe Terminal City or Shucks in the future, or maybe we meet you somewhere else. But yeah, we're looking forward to that day whenever that comes. But for now,
what a great bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Good job on 100 episodes.
Yeah. And
fantastic.
For now, though, we will just continue to play cards with Ryan on Wednesday nights over the YouTube or whatever streaming thing Ryan's got going on. But yeah, no, we just wanted to say congrats, and we're excited for the next 100 episodes. And we're going to run. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch you later. Cheers.
See ya.
Rob, what a linguist.
Those guys are awesome. I love those two guys.
I love them. Yeah, and just ever since that Journeys in Middle Earth, Rob and I really connected over our love of Fantasy Flight games and other things. And then he just mentioned that he loved these card games, and I like card games, and so that's how we started doing our regular Wednesdays.
It's like Step Brothers, Will Ferrell.
Did we just become best
friends?
I like
that too.
Did we just become best friends? Yup.
Yup.
Want to do karate in the garage? Yup.
Oh yeah, and no jokes aside, that's kind of what I watched. Was like, okay, this is getting real weird. No, it's awesome. Though, I mean, absolutely everything they said back. I mean, reciprocated.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really hope you folks, Rob and Anna, I hope you guys get to 100 episodes. You're well on your way with a really solid podcast, the Meeple Dungeon podcast. They've got 5 episodes of real good quality content, really good discussions between them and everything. So I'm really rooting for you guys. And
they have a spotless record on the What You've Been Playing Wednesday contributions.
Single, how many episodes?
37 and
37,
going.
And they have not missed one What You've Been Playing Wednesday. They have a better track record than me.
I can't believe I haven't fallen over yet. That's 2 podcasts a week. Give it to me, Red Bull. All right. Okay, let's keep going here.
Yeah,
La Granja and
we're gonna have to
Underwater
pick. We're
Cities.
gonna have to pick this up if you want to go through
Pick it
every
up.
single game.
So La Granja Underwater Cities, yes and yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we did Tiny Towns and Deep Blue. I still have Tiny Towns.
Oh, Deep Blue got shipped. What was I even thinking with that? Oh my gosh. What a piece of garbage.
but it was Days of Wonder, right? They're usually
we're just coming off the high of FalCon. I got the junkie vein pumping saying
we played it. We played a pre-release or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay. These next two I know. Euphoria and Wingspan.
First, I got to mention on Podbean there, what happened to episode 30?
I know.
Missing.
There's an episode that disappeared, and I mean, doesn't every podcast have like the
missing episode?
Yeah, missing.
I noticed that. I don't even know what we would have talked about way back when. Maybe this is actually episode 99. Scandalous.
Oh. Or it could be like all the people. Well, no, it's not 2000. It's 2001 already. So
that's really good. But yeah, Euphoria, Wingspan.
Yeah, got it. We talked about expansions. Then this is about when the pandemic hit.
This is about because this is where Ian now has become a regular host.
We talked about expansions. We talked to Board Game Arena, and then I did Nippon, you did Nova Luna, and Ian did Parks.
Yep, that was Ian's very first.
Review.
His second review because he did Container way back.
And I still have Nippon, and I picked up Parks. I haven't played Nova Luna.
I still have Nova Luna on my shelf, but it's a game that ask Dave from Board on the Air what his opinion of Nova Luna. It's so funny.
Okay, I will. Let's get one more in before there's a knock at the door. Teotihuacan, Viva Java, and Horrified. Teotihuacan. Ian did Viva Java. I have the dice game. It's kind of cool. Horrified. Got it. Love it. I've never played the Teotihuacan.
I have all. It's got so many expansions that have come out since then. And I've got them all, and I've never played with one of the expansions yet.
Okay.
Here's the junkie behavior.
I'm gonna push through a few more because we can do fast.
I gotta give a shout out because he's not as active on Twitter anymore, but good friend of the show, and I really loved conversations with him. Tom from Tom Teaches Games came on and really razzed me about my pronunciations of certain games.
Then we talked about Emma Larkins.
Yep.
And I think you did a review of Cosmic Encounter Duel. And then you did an interview with Travis Jones, designer of Pendulum. And we did reviews. I did Hansa Teutonica. I still got it. Ian did Lowlands, and you did Fabled Fruit.
Don't have it. And I don't have Cosmic Encounter Duel anymore either.
Oh, okay.
These are games that are just... Yeah, let's just keep pitching them.
Do we have someone knocking on the email?
I think so. Who do we got?
Who's got the email?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Norman Ryan. It's your good buddy Chris Morris here. In honor of your 100th episode, I made this amazing board game themed cake that I wanted to share with you. But then I totally forgot that you're way out in Saskatoon and I'm here in BC. So I guess I'll have to eat it myself. I also have no idea what I'm going to do with all these decorations and beer that I bought to celebrate with you, but I guess I'll find some use for them. Now, in classic conjecture fashion, I'd hazard to say that you're producing one of the best podcasts out there, and I can say that in all honesty because there's only like 2 or 3 that I listen to regularly, and you're definitely in the top 2 or 3 of those. But in all seriousness, congrats on making it to 100 episodes, and all the best in your next 100. I love what you guys are doing with your show and the passion that you put into it. I also cannot wait to get to play games in person with you eventually. Take care. Enjoy the ride. Are we done?
Yep.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
I can't wait till we get the opportunity to all the What You've Been Playing Wednesday cast can say, we're meeting here.
Yes.
And then all Oh yeah, that'd be such a fun. It'd be like summer camp. Hey, remember when you said this, right? Yeah, so much fun. Yeah, and Chris is part of that Kelowna cartel, so maybe we need to go to Kelowna. Who knows?
Perfect.
Just saying, right? Okay, pushing fast through this. In the episode 41, content creators of influence, we talked about Cabal, Blue Peg, Pink Peg, and a lot of the stuff that we soak up.
Yep, and we actually managed to have Patrick and Rob from Blue Pig Pink Pig have made appearances on our show, which are fantastic. Dawn from the Secret Cabal came on our podcast. Like, that's surreal to me. Like, these people are like celebrities in my mind, and they wanted to hang out with us and share their thoughts. It was very, very cool and entertaining.
Well, I've always been of the idea where it's like, if you're polite and cordial, the worst they can say is no.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, that's always that's what I teach my kids: be nice, polite, and courteous. NPC. And speaking of D&D, that's the next. And I didn't even plan this segue. We did reviews. I did the D&D 5e starter kit. This is where you guys did that dino thing, the Dinosaur Island and the
we did our dino back to back.
Yeah. Cool.
Very cool.
Episode 43. This was so much fun. Ian put together the board game before and after game show.
Oh my gosh! And I can't believe I messed up the last one.
Went down to the wire.
I was the first one to spew it, and as soon as I said it, like, that is not it.
Yeah, and you gave me that window. I'm like, thank you very much. I will finish this for you.
Yes.
Great Western Trail and Maracaibo.
Yeah, that was like a very small glimpse in the pandemic where we were able to actually get to game together. Yeah. We got one game in of Maracaibo together.
Before the second wave.
And then the second wave and stuff like that. And that was a really, really fun, memorable gaming experiences. That was our, that was a heartfelt episode. I remember. You want a good tearjerker, you guys go listen to that one, episode 45.
Yeah, that's a lot of hospital room gaming that got me through a lot of dark spots. Then it was you and I that did. Now, have you ever talked about this game before? Targi, and
I don't think I've mentioned Targi yet.
I got both of them.
But if you want the Ryan Rao deep dive of Targi, you go listen to episode 46.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it went on my bottom shelf. I'm pretty sure.
I'm just noticing I'm a little bit of a hoarder when it comes to the games I've reviewed, because I don't think any of them have left yet. And you had mentioned 47, we had the Art of the Review with Patrick Kelly.
That was a crazy episode.
That was fun. That was so much fun. It was just sort of like, it was chaos, planned chaos. 48, Ian reviewed Kingsburg 2nd edition. I did Archaeology, the New Expedition, and you did Tekenu, Obelisk of the Sun. And that's where
things went off the rails that episode.
That's the perfect reason why we didn't do live before.
My gosh.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying anything. We're going to move on.
If you listen to 48, Norm's editing skills were on point for
there was a complete laughter breakdown and
I was swearing at you guys.
Abruptness of what was going on and why were we reduced to tears.
I've got a good segue. We got somebody here that might
There's someone at the door
on this situation.
Hey, we are definitely a board game podcast. We have 37 episodes out, and it has felt like we've been doing this show literally forever.
Yes, it does feel that way sometimes, yeah.
And so when I see something like Cardboard Conjecture hitting 100 episodes...
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Norm, Ryan, and Ian have done 100 episodes. They have not killed each other yet.
No? Oh, good for you guys.
As far as I know, they're still friends.
Yeah.
You and I are barely making it to 37 without...
This is the 30th time we've done this take, by the way.
See, he just keeps ruining it. Anyway, 100 episodes is an amazing achievement.
It is.
I think someday we might make it to 100, but if we do, it's going to require the intervention of many deities, and it'll be a great time. I just want to say congratulations, Norm, Ian, Ryan. Unbelievable achievement, 100 episodes. Anything to add, Aaron?
Congratulations, guys, and thank you so much for having us on your podcast. We really enjoy being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Being part of What You've Been Playing Wednesdays has brought us into sort of this connection with the Canadian Board Gaming Society. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished, not only the 100 episodes, but also in creating this Canadian Boardcast podcast, whatever you want to call it, community. It's all because of your efforts. Thank you so much. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. Anything else, Royce?
Not a thing.
Say goodbye, Royce.
Goodbye, Royce.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, Aaron and Royce have easily crept into one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. Their humor and energy is very contagious just through a podcast medium. So
infectious. Yeah.
So I really hope they get to 100 episodes, and I really hope that they don't kill each other.
Well, yeah, if they do, it'll be very entertaining.
So that Tech Henu the review reminded me of I could literally reach across the screen and kill these two right now.
And I call them the DAP, DABP, because when I do all the edits, I've got a lot of kind of abbreviated stuff. I'm so proud of that community that we started that we planted the seeds. I mean, it's not. I mean, like I said, we planted the seeds, but it's grown to be what it is because of all the people that are part of it, right? I mean, that whole mosaic thing, right? So yeah, I love every person who's participating in this because of the dimension they bring to this and community. I mean, we're both teachers. We know about community building, and we know how important it is, and we know how good somebody feels when they know that they're a part of something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome.
It's been good. It you know what? It's tugging at the heartstrings a little bit, but I'm really glad that one Christmas break, that last Christmas break, when we were throwing around the ideas, and I said, Norm, I sent out the invite.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, the invite to what? I'm like,
well,
remember that idea we had about these content creators coming together and doing the What You've Been Playing? He's like, you're like, yeah. I'm like, I sent it out, and all these guys are already on board for it, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, that my Big Shiny Tunes idea. It was just one of those like stream of consciousness. We should do a big get every a K-Tel record, and every week we should, right? Kind of like what did they have? The Punchboard Media guys.
It was the What Have You Been Playing This Week podcast.
Yeah, and I thought
Patrick and Eric.
Yeah, and that had flipped and had gone. Had stopped
they
producing.
Still had their brand. Yeah, they still had their brand, but they really didn't have the show.
Yeah,
going
so I thought,
anymore.
Hey, let's
create the
said, hey, we could do this.
Let's create the CBC version.
Yeah. So I thought we need our own K-Tel, Big Shiny Tunes, and you held me to the. I like that. Oh, I went and invited them already. Yep. Okay, I guess we're starting next week. Okay, all right. And that's how it started. It was awesome.
Yep. And I know how many weeks in the year have passed because it started on the very first Wednesday of 2021.
Yeah.
And now 37 Wednesdays later, it's still going.
Going strong.
Wow.
And I think we have, in the teens, I think we have 14 in our community now. Let's bounce back to the list here because we can burn through some. 4950, we did kind of a theme here where we did our top 50 lists.
Yeah, that was great fun.
Those were so much fun. And Board on the Air came for an episode of To Bling or Not to Bling.
I love that episode with David.
That was fun.
That was a great one. And then Rob came back. Yeah. Talked about Marvel Champions.
Second appearance.
We're still talking about it to this day. It's a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. 53 was, you know what? I had thought that one was fun, where we basically rethemed board games to our favorite IP titles.
Yeah, we gave publishers a great list of ideas.
There's so much.
I'm still waiting for my X-Files themed Unlock game.
Oh,
just saying.
Let's just start our own publishing company. We moved on to reviews of Ghost Stories, The Quest for El Dorado, and Pulsar 2849. And I have Ghost Stories.
Still got Pulsar 2849. It's great.
Ghost Stories.
Stefan Feld in space.
Ghost Stories, hard game. Then we did a holiday board game gift guide.
First time we ever tried one of those. It went really well.
It was fun. Then we did games we want to play. Oh yeah, this was games we want to play from each other's collection.
This was heart of pandemic mode now.
Yeah.
We're really scrapping for ideas.
And this is kind of before everybody just, resigned to the fact that it's like, okay, I got to figure out how to game during the pandemic, right?
Yep.
And we're still kind of, oh no, I don't want to completely commit to solo games.
Yep.
I like the underrated and undervalued games. That was pretty cool.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
Favorite artists.
Yeah.
That was a great talk.
And this was reviews of Pandemic, Fall of Rome, during the pandemic, and then Lost Ruins of Arnak and Vegas Showdown. I have Lost Ruins.
I'm still gushing over Arnak, and it's got an expansion coming out. I haven't even played the solo mode on their website. They have the website solo stuff for that game, which is, I'm hearing is quite top notch.
I did see that on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's right. Cool.
Yeah.
And then we did another themed Victory Conditions show episode, which is very cool. Board Game Memories of 2020, because we were going, all right, this pandemic's sticking around, so let's reminisce on what we miss about board games. And then we said that's when we started What You've Been Playing Wednesday.
That's great.
Do we have a knock at the door? No knocks at the door.
No
Are we
more.
done with the knocks at the door? So we just burn through the lists now?
We just go through the list.
Cool. And so, by the way, thank you so much for everybody who
took the time and effort to submit some of those. Those are great. Thank you.
That's
very
awesome.
much.
Thank you so much. Let's move on. This chamois. I remember seeing Shem Phillips make a post. This was like January, about all the award stuff, and he went, I want games that have this, and I thought his categories were brilliant, so I said, let's do the Shemmys. So that was a fun episode.
And David and Shay were on that one again.
That's true.
It's so easy when somebody lives in the same city as you. You can actually coordinate some of these times.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at the clock and looking at the list. We can push through this pretty good. Rococo Deluxe Edition. That's when your Kickstarters all started coming in.
That wasn't a Kickstarter. That's not a Kickstarter game.
Rococo?
No, it wasn't.
It was. Oh, really?
No,
okay. I'm so sorry. But you know what?
For
Unmatched
shame.
Battle of Legends Volume 1.
You keep talking about that. Yes.
We got to play that. You got to play some of that. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think we had February Legacy Month, because we had our
right. I remember
the
this.
beginning
This
of
was a
our
lot of fun.
designer's idea. Yeah,
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. You guys talked to Rob Davio, did an interview with that. Then we talked about our favorite campaign games. We did a very spoiler-filled reviews of Pandemic Legacy Seasons 1 and 2. And then we topped it off. We even brought in some friends of my gaming group. We brought in Brett and Matt and friend of the show Lane and talk about our favorite Legacy games. That was a great month. That was a great run of, what was that, about 4 or 5 episodes.
Thematically connected.
Yeah, that was really, really fun.
We got the next ups are like Bonfire, not Bonfire, Trois Dice and Innovation. And I have Innovation still. I have Trois. I've never played Bonfire yet.
I still got Bonfire. I'm holding on to it because apparently there's an expansion coming out that's supposed to from what I've read, fixes some of the issues that I had with that game. So I'm going to hold on to it just for a little bit.
Okay. And then we popped. We're trying to think.
First one.
Yeah. The next part was something that popped into my head in regards to being able to have some content connectivity, and it was the Mechanics series. And Ian started that one off with worker placement.
Yeah, that was a fantastic. It's been a great series just to explore the different mechanisms that are in games, and some of our favorite games that fit those mechanisms. And then this was my favorite. Okay, out of all of the Cardboard Conjecture episodes, 71 was my favorite one of all, because we went full fanboy mode. We had Dawn from the Secret Cabal and Rob from Blue Peg Pink Peg, and to talk teaching methods and learning styles in board games. That was one of the best conversations we've had in a long time.
That was so much fun. It was deliberate and insane at the same time.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Then we bounced back to some mechanics. We did the drafting mechanism. Was that you?
Maybe. I can't remember.
I can't even remember. Then we bounced out to do some Ticket to Ride and Voyages of Marco Polo reviews.
I just went on air saying I like Marco Polo 2 better than the Voyages of Marco Polo now.
No, I saw that.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
A couple more. We talked auction games, trading games.
Yeah.
Variable player powers. We had we had 3 in a row over the Mechanics series there.
Yeah.
And then our very first review copy
sent to us.
Sent to us on episode 77. 77 episodes. We finally got a review copy from somebody.
We're awesome.
And we talked about Isle of Cats.
And that is a game that I'm still thinking about, which says something. Like, I mean, it wasn't a bought copy, but it's prompting me to pay attention to that game a little bit more. It's kind of cool. I did the Mechanic series Area Control Mechanism, which was like area influence and area majority, because a lot of people say, well, it's a suite of ideas. And then we started the Hype Train.
Oh my gosh. And then the influence for the Hype Train was that old Joe Salin and
the Longview
podcast, where somebody brings up a game that hasn't been talked about for a while, and you talk about it. So let's bring back the Canadian version of that too.
Yeah, let's do some the CP Rail version.
Yep, and Friday Night Games was on that. They were our first ones, and then we've done a few more since then. We had the Meeple Dungeon on. We've had Chris Morris on. We've got a couple more already in the works for some other What You've Been Playing Wednesday folks are going to come join us on for the Hype Train, so stay tuned.
Cool. We did Designer Talk with Dan and Connie Kazmaier of
Steeped
Designers of Chai and Steeped Games. Yeah. Then we went into some set collecting mechanisms. And then we did some Viva Las Euro,
nice,
where we celebrated some Euro loving games. And then the next Hype Train, as you said.
Right, yeah. And then we had an interview with Jay Cormier. That was a lot of fun. He has a lot of energy.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
Very contagious. Another Hype Train with Chris, like I said. We deep dived Merv, Heart of the Silk Road. That was when we made it to the finals of Friday Night Games, Last Game Standing. Absolutely. And I'm still bitter, because they said that Merv is a complex game, and I disagree, but whatevs. Whatevs. An original game couldn't win.
We did Best Bang for Your Buck board games, which was part of our
listener topics.
Listener topics that we gave away some sponsored prizes for. Multi-use card mechanisms. And then you're a fan. You say this one because you're the Fantasy Flight.
Yeah,
junkie.
We managed to bring on Corey Kineska from Fantasy Flight Games, and now his new Unexpected Games game studio. That was a lot of fun. That great. All the conversations we've had have been fantastic. And then the rest of the episodes are the ones that just have come out in the past weeks or so, past 10 weeks.
Yeah. Follow up with like thematic game genre.
Rocket Man, Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Storage Solutions. The Storage Solutions episode. I still got thoughts and you guys didn't let me finish.
Yeah. And then this was the point where Ian stepped down. And he, well, and with what I've, like, Ian's good friends with you, but what I've seen from Ian is he has a passion for board games, but his greater passion is film and movies. And I've since started listening to the podcast that he started about cinema, and it's awesome. Awesome.
It was Cinema in Seconds, I think it's called. The podcast. So definitely look at, they have a whole bunch of wacky trivia about a whole bunch of different topics. They 90s movies to action movies to potential award winners, and
their shtick is like the Cinema in Seconds, where they don't take, let's talk about the whole film. No, they talk about a segment in the film, like one of those little Hallmark moments, or those little vintage prestige moments in a film, like the Han Solo, as he's going down and she says I love you, and his response, I know, right? I mean, it's just like, you those are the moments that you celebrate in those classic movies. So I'm so glad that he's continuing expressing himself creatively. So yay.
And he'll be back.
And
every now and then.
He'll be back.
He'll be back.
So yeah, we did.
I want to do another game show. I'm trying to get in talks with him that we'll do another game show.
Yeah. Then we did another listener suggested topic, the 5-game collection. That was Jeff's, I believe.
Yeah. Jeff McNary from here in Bridge City.
That was a hard one. That was.
Don't make me ever do that again.
Oh, that was like mental triage. This one, 96. As a Canadian, this was so hard to say not positive things about things, because we did the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That was not hard. Those were butt ugly. That was not hard to do at all. Oh, I just might not have a soul.
I still feel guilty a little bit. I still feel bad. So sorry.
You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. You ugly.
And then entry-level board games, and then a review of Ashes, Reborn, and Pavlov's House. And I'm so fired up because the Pavlov's House, when we do the tweets and then we tag the designers and everything, Dave Thornton went and listened to it and responded back and said that was a great review, and it's like, yay! Somebody went and listened to it on purpose.
Information, perfect.
Yeah.
So Norm, where do we go from here?
We'd keep doing it.
Just keep going.
Just keep doing it until we get bored, and then when we're bored, then we'll just have a coffee, and then we'll keep doing it.
Oh,
because I don't think I'm going to get bored of board games, and I don't think I'm ever going to get bored of talking about it, and I'm never going to get bored of being like a tech geek.
Yeah. Especially this past little bit, I've gotten really busy and being featured and doing lots of other different shows. Like I'm doing the Wednesday night streams.
Yeah,
Rob. It's fantastic. And also Rob, and then Jason from Dice and Dragons, another contributor to What You've Been Playing Wednesdays. We're doing that YouTube series where we're talking about Kickstarter projects.
Yeah, you're being a great ambassador.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting burnt out. I'm going to have to say no to something.
You won't.
No, I won't, because that Kickstarter showed we don't do that like on a regular basis.
No, but when you guys do it, it's you come back and it's like, okay, we all said we're not going to back it, but then we ended up backing it. Like, it's a therapy group, isn't it?
There's only been one episode where all three of us have actually backed it. Have backed backed the thing. There's only been one.
Out of 3.
No. How many have we had?
3 or 4.
No, I think we've had like 6. This was like the 6th one.
Yeah, you're just trying to make those statistical representations not seem severe. Okay.
Right. Yep.
100, man. I'm so thank you.
That was a good journey.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to because like you said, I just walked in your classroom and went, all right, let's start talking.
I'd be like, okay, what are we talking about?
Yeah. So
we've come a long way from those classroom desks shuffling above us, trying to cover the microphone so that it doesn't pick it up.
Yeah, I think the pandemic has assisted us in fine-tuning the process of putting this together. So
and folks don't know that I think Norm has to be one of the hardest working podcast people out there for producing 2 shows a week. 2 shows a week for the last 37 weeks.
Lots of coffee.
Oh gosh, I remember the one tweet one morning. Okay, this is the behind the scenes one.
Send me Starbucks credit. You know, that's all.
This is the last story. This is the last story before we sign off. But I just remember the one tweet or the one message you sent one morning where you said you literally passed out at your keyboard one night doing the What You've Been Playing Wednesday, woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and hadn't produced the show yet, hadn't went out there.
Because a few of them are like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna get late. And I mean, like a teacher's like, okay, yeah, that's all right. I'll push it. And I think I ended up started working on it at 11. And each episode usually takes me about an hour and 10 minutes, start to finish kind of thing. And I got 3/4 of the way through, and it was like university. I just face planted into my keyboard. And of course, it was like K, F, P, 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 P.
But thank you for all the behind things that you've done for the past 100 episodes of Cardboard Conjecture and 37 episodes of What You've Been Playing.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh, it's been and also getting me into Techlandia.
Well, yeah, when you started sending me pictures of, okay, I got a new camera, I got a new when you got your lapel mic, that's what I texted you, went,
one of us,
I've been waiting for you.
Gosh,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Nice. And you know what, we just have so much more to explore because we're starting to like fiddle around with YouTube as we're doing right now.
Yep.
And the one thing I told my wife Mel is she's like, oh, you getting ready? And I'm like, yeah. And she's just looking at me because I'm shaving. And she's like, what are you? I'm like, we're live streaming. I have to shave now.
Oh, so 5 o'clock shadows.
So thanks, Ryan. You're making me have to like look, presentable.
Watch the last episode of Kickstarter Excesses or Chaos. I had like full beard mode going almost. It was disgusting.
This is a good reason to keep it clean. Any last remarks? I mean, we're running long, but this is 100. We can run long.
No, just cheers to another 100, hopefully.
And if there's more than one person listening, I'm always going to say thank you because, as hopefully you figured it out that we do this because we like doing it.
Yeah, we're not here for the fame.
Yeah.
I don't think I've signed any autographs yet.
No.
Just
in my mind.
But
that being said, I'm happy, even at 100, to be your host, Norm.
And I've been ahead. I lost it. I was gonna just
after 100 episodes, he tanks it.
Ahead by a century.
Oh,
there we go. Tragically hip. I'm Ryan.
Tragically meeple.
Tragically meeple.
Take care.
Oh, thanks, folks. All right.
I'm not going to say anything until we segue out.
Oh, yeah. We're stopping. If there's anybody in the chat, I don't think there's anybody in the chat. No. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Cheers.